I am the chief exorcist of the Vatican. My position was appointed by my bishop. My diocese is Rome. My local bishop is the Pope. If you have a problem with me, you talk to my boss, okay? Cuckoo. Morally Offensive, a podcast that is an active weapon against demonic forces because the devil doesn't like a jokes. I'm Bill.
I'm Cisco.
And today we are continuing Hot Priest Summer with a film about the most infamous exorcist of all time and his scooter. That's right, we are talking about the 2023 film starring everybody's favorite Italian, Russell Crowe, the Pope's Exorcist.
This is a podcast about the films condemned or considered morally offensive by the Catholic Church.
We both grew up Catholic and now we're not, for reasons, but we're still fascinated by the religion that raised us. The films we cover are selected from the official film review list of the Legion of Decency, rest in peace.
Starting to sound like Nosferatu.
And the Conference of Catholic Bishops. I'm a motion graphics designer, editor, and DJ.
And I'm a film podcaster and writer.
And together we are on a journey to watch every film condemned or considered a morally offensive to the Pope.
Bong bong. Cuckoo.
So this is the last film of Hot Priest Summer.
Wow.
And what a way to go out. I had a blast watching this trashy ass film.
This is your first time, right? Correct?
I hadn't seen it yet. I knew about it.
Okay, we're going to start with you then.
All right.
Yeah, initial thoughts. I'm curious.
This is a good afternoon movie. Like if I'm home, it's raining outside, or there's a blizzard, I'm cruising through Tubi, I see this film with Russell Crowe as an exorcist, I put it on. It's just a good vibe for that. Like it's a tight 90 minutes. It's like, what is it, like 97, I think?
Might be a little longer, I think.
Oh, no, I think it's
like an hour 40.
Yeah, it's like an hour 40, which is still really tight.
Yeah.
Love it. And it's like, it's so goofy. Which I love that it's based on the true story of Father Amorth, and then they made this like Super Mario Brothers talking priest superhero. Like they lean into like some Indiana Jones stuff with it.
I'm glad you picked that up.
Yeah, like National Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that kind of camp thing going on with like archaeology.
One of my buddies even brought up the monologue that you rattled off at the beginning is a detective trope of the getting chewed out by his superiors and him going like, you know, and he's the rebellious pope that's like, I'm doing my job here. Hand in your cross and holy water.
Father Amorth, I got the commissioner breathing down my neck. You're a loose cannon.
That's literally what it is. And then like that one like American like bishop or whatever would be like the asshole like chief that everyone hates or whatever.
To be fair, in real life, I'm on the side of the guys on that panel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we'll get into it, but his trauma backstory is like he didn't help this woman who was like mentally ill, and he's like but he really shouldn't have been helping that woman either. Like, I know he feels guilty that she committed suicide. But...
And it's an allusion to a conspiracy that he's kind of involved with in real life, the real Father Amorth, which is, there's a woman, he says, disappeared who was kidnapped by the Vatican police for sex orgies.
Oh.
Which, I mean, that's one of those things where I'm just like, because it's Father Amorth, I'm like, I don't know if I believe it, but also it's the Vatican, and there have been sex orgies in the Vatican, so I'm like, could be real. I don't know. But it's a weird thing to put in a pulpy movie like this, especially since she was a real person. It feels kind of,
I think,
a little icky when you think about it.
We were talking before we started recording, but like, you know, I'm glad you liked it, first of all.
Yeah.
But because it's pulling from all of these B movie tropes, and it's working on that level, you didn't need the true story at all. Didn't. This could have been random Pope name, you know what I mean? And I guess my take on it and why I think they did that was just marketing, which like, you know, we talked about this before on The Exorcist, like all exorcism movies are basically like Catholic propaganda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they really are. I
Um,
mean, they don't question it ever.
Yes, and so this movie we'll talk about in different parts definitely goes along with that. But the fun stuff, the reason I recommended this movie that we should cover it and why I knew you would like it is the campy shit. Like
it's so good.
The ending goes bananas. Like
it's fucking wild.
Yeah,
like what?
There's like a zombie mother of Mary, like Mary, Virgin Mary, that comes up. There's like naked women, like, and the fact that it goes R-rated too is something that I really appreciated, and especially on rewatch, because when I first saw this movie,
you want a plane?
No. That would have been crazy to watch on a plane. I
almost watched the edited version on a plane when I went to Seattle last week. That would have been so crazy.
No, they definitely seek out the unrated cut, because like the reason I bring that up is because I was keeping up with all the new releases during this time. This came out the same year as the Exorcist reboot or whatever, requel, whatever you want to call it. And this is better. This is way better. That one is like everything that we bemoan about, like tired exorcism tropes, taking itself way too seriously, and it's also PG-13. So they can't go there. You know what I mean?
Let's not forget the best exorcism film of that year, Nefarious.
Oh man, I think I skipped that one. That was one new release I did not.
You're good, because I looked at, somebody had suggested it to us to watch before doing this episode because it came out so close together. And I went on IMDb, and the first thing that popped out to me was from the makers of Unplanned and God's Not Dead. And I was like, absolutely not. This looks like hot trash. I mean,
now that you say that, I think that's why I skipped it. Yeah. And also, like, a lot of the critics that I follow were basically just saying, like, if you think this is Catholic propaganda, like Pope's Exorcist, like that one's like strictly, you know what I mean, in your face about it, and just like bad filmmaking
and
as well.
Evangelical too. It's got Glenn Beck's in it in a scene, which is fucking weird. Like he's not. Why would you put him in a movie? Anyway,
best exorcism movie that came out this year.
Yeah,
Pope's Exorcist.
Pope's Exorcist. It's a good time.
Going into like people that made this movie, it kind of makes sense. Like they all kind of have a horror background that I didn't know about, that I was like, oh, like, so starting, I guess, with the director Julius Avery, he made, I think, one of the best horror movies of 2018. It's called Overlord.
Is that the Nazi one?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
It's fucking amazing. I don't even want to spoil. I mean, it's been a couple of years, I guess, already. But it's this World War II Nazi zombie movie. Yeah. That's all you need to know. And it's crazy, and it was probably like the biggest surprise of that year for me. It was like, so awesome.
It's like Force 10 to Navarone meets zombie Nazis.
Yeah, so that he directed it, and I was actually impressed with the direction. Like this time around, I was kind of like looking at more of the filmmaking choices this time, and there's choices that are being made that are like, it's shot like a superhero movie, basically. You know
this is?
Yeah,
I can see that.
Like, even I would say, like, we mentioned his scooter, which, that's not based on the real,
which he rides from Italy to Spain.
Father Amorth. That's Russell Crowe's idea that he came up with for the movie, which God bless,
Is it Lambretta? Is that the name of the scooter?
I was trying to zoom in on it. It was very, I couldn't get a clear.
It is. I think it's a Lambretta, or is it Lambretto?
I couldn't.
I don't know about scooters, guys.
I don't either.
I'm so sorry. I know about cars. Lambretta. Okay, Lambretta.
But I mean, the fact that he rides the scooter from the Vatican to Spain made me laugh so hard the first time I saw this movie. And this time I was laughing too, but then I was, again, looking at the way it's shot, and it's like these like swift pan, across the landscape.
Oh, beautiful
like,
landscape shots.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like close-ups of his scooter. Like it's basically like, Indiana Jones is coming to save the day or something, or like a superhero, coming on their mission. So...
And he's kind of like, he's, again, Indiana Jones. He's got the Pope as his like benefactor, and he's like, you must go deal with this. And nobody else wants to deal with him because he's like the loose cannon, or, it plays into all those kind of tropes, but in a way that's fun. And the Pope, obviously, Franco Nero, who we love in movies, period. I
mean, just that casting by itself should let you know like what kind of movie this is.
It's a B movie
trying to be. Yeah,
and it's going to be campy, which and that's not bad. That's good.
No, exactly.
I love a good B movie. And Franco Nero is like a pretty good sign of quality a lot of times, because he tends to be in B movies that are just a shit ton of fun. I mean, you're going to name probably the more obvious ones if you want to go off the bat. Just tell, like, let's name some of the heavy hitters he's in off the bat.
I just put like Django, the original Django,
Right.
like would probably be recognizable to people. In terms of like American movies, like John Wick 2, because that's the one where they go to Italy. So
Yep.
of course they had to put him in there. What are some like spaghetti westerns that people should look out
Well,
for?
obviously, Django's the obvious one, but two films I highly recommend and love are Compañeros and The Mercenary, which are almost like bookend movies. It's Sergio Corbucci, I think, shot these back to back or like really close together because it's a lot of the same cast, a lot of the same crew. You've got incredible scores from Ennio Morricone. And Jack Palance in both has insane, iconic looks as the villain. In one, he has a falcon that he carries around with him, and he dresses in all black and just uses the falcon to like attack people that he buries people up to their neck and then has the falcon attack them and pull out their eyes. The other one, his name is Curly, and he literally has like the worst blonde curly wig through the whole movie, but it's so good because it's so ridiculous and campy that he just eats up the scenery in it. And Franco Nero is just peak Franco Nero in these movies. Again,
Yeah.
that's The Mercenary and Compañeros. Just a good time if you want to like get into a spaghetti western beyond the obvious like Sergio Leone, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, that era. This is like where people were having fun, and like this is the kind of stuff that inspired Tarantino. So if you like Tarantino, get into that because you're going to see a lot of stuff echoed from that in another movie which has Franco Nero in it, which is Django Unchained. So
I will say, so there's like two, like, I guess, subplots or like sections of the movie that don't work for me. And I will say that like the Pope stuff is kind of, he's underutilized in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
And like it almost feels like, because there's like 3 screenwriters on this, it definitely feels like maybe he was a result of rewrites or something. Like they wanted to do more with the Pope. Because like there's all of these insinuations like that he can sense the stuff that's happening with Russell Crowe's
Right.
character. And I was thinking that maybe like, you know, the demon would try and get at the Pope. I mean, like they say in the movie that like the highest goal for this demon is to, you know, enter an exorcist.
And it never went there. That was the thing. Like it never
Yeah.
went to the Pope. So why is the Pope sick?
So, but I was thinking, wouldn't the Pope be the highest person you could enter? Like he's the highest position in the church. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
guess I wouldn't be thinking that if there wasn't these kind of like, you know, again, insinuations that like there's this connection and there's, you know, they keep cutting back to him in the hospital. I'm like, oh, are they going to go there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is something going to happen with this guy? And it was like, no, he just kind of has this sense that he's in danger or something.
Maybe their thought was save that for the sequels. But I feel like the Pope needs to play the role of M in these movies if they keep making these, especially, and we'll get to it later, how they set up the ending. But I feel like if the Pope functioned more like M, like Bernard Lee and like, or you know, Ray Fiennes or Dame Judi Dench, if he functioned more like an M character,
Yeah.
I think that's the way to do it. Because really what this film, I think the sequel could take what they're doing. It's great. I love it. But push it more in the Pope's putting together a team trope. And that would be awesome.
And they kind of get there at the end. When,
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
You know what
if
I mean?
they didn't
Where
go there, I wouldn't say it.
He's
but-
like, this is your new, you know, chief that's going to be working with you on these cases. And it's like the guy that's on his side. But the only other guy that seems to be on Gabriel's side is the Pope.
right.
So like it does make sense that he would fit in that, you know, M mold. But then at the beginning of the movie, they say like what he's out of commission or whatever.
Which doesn't
like,
make sense because this would have been Pope John Paul II, which I understand it's just weird that you're using a real Father Amorth as the character. But
and this
then
is where we run into problems. Like
it's not John Paul II.
They could just avoid it if it wasn't based on the true events.
You
or
could just
a true
make up
person.
the Pope, make
Yeah.
up the person. It would be so much easier because this isn't Pope John Paul II. Franco Nero looks nothing like Pop.
No.
Even like the facial hair, they should have
Yeah.
shaved his face.
And this takes place in 87. we should
87,
say.
but
Yeah.
his health was not that bad in 87. Like he wasn't slipping into, you know, he wasn't like having issues until like the 90s, from what I remember, that were like really bad, where he'd be like this, you know?
But like, yeah, it's just, I guess it just, what didn't work for me is at the beginning of the film, it's like, he's on his own. He's a rogue.
Right.
You know, you're doing all these exorcisms and the church is trying to get away from that or whatever. So that's the big conflict. But then they undo that, and the Pope shows up shortly after that, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna help you out as much as I can. Like, I'm gonna stay here and do research. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what research are you gonna do that's gonna help him out, when he's going to this house?
I did think it was cool that the board brings up the fact that 90-something% of the exorcisms he does, 98, are almost always either not at all requiring exorcism or it's like not that big of a deal, right? It's which is a lot of what he talks about in his book, which I've read. The book is good. It's a pretty good read. It's a lot of bullshit, but it's a good read. But according to him, a lot of it is just he goes in because an exorcism essentially is a prayer. So he goes in and prays with people, and half the time the prayer does what it needs to do because they weren't really they weren't really possessed.
That's why, like, the numbers, like, he's performed over 200,000 exorcisms or something like that, and he's just praying for people. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's that, and then the fact that, like,
and you can do multiple exorcisms on one person,
or one person can have 1,000 demons inside them. Exactly. He said as well. Yeah. I also like that his number constantly changes over time. At one point it was 60,000, and then another point he said 150,000. Yeah, and it's like, crazy. Make up your mind, dude. Like, how are you keeping track of this?
We also have, like, for the screenwriters, Michael Petroni, who wrote The Rite, which I feel like I saw when it came out. I remember zero about it, but Anthony Hopkins is the exorcist in that.
It did okay when it came out.
Yeah, and I guess, like, when I was looking into it, like, one of the demons in that is, like, related to the main demon in this one, like, maybe in that, like, that hierarchy they're talking about, like, he's, like, in that chain or something like that.
Is this one is Asmodeus? Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense because there are different demons in demonology and Catholic lore, so that would make sense.
And then Evan, I'm gonna butcher your last name, is a Greek guy, Spilotopoulos. Wrote The Unholy in 2021, which I did not see that one.
Is that a remake of the 80s one we tried to do an episode on?
I'm not sure. But I definitely missed out on that one, and it just because, again, it looked like your average, like, run-of-the-mill exorcism movie. But
there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, they're all familiar with this lore, though, which, like, I think it kind of comes through in the movie that, like, this isn't their first rodeo when it comes to these demonic possession
There's
movies.
A lot of cool details that are actually accurate to exorcism in this movie, based off of Father Amorth's book. And I also spent a lot of time listening to the podcast The Exorcist Files, which, whatever your opinion is of Catholics and exorcism, it's actually a really well done podcast, and they try to be really honest about the work, which I do appreciate that. So as much as I was half the time just laughing because I thought it was silly.
I know. I guess, like, more of interest to me is, like, some of the cast here, which, like, they also have some experience here in the horror category. Russell Crowe, you can definitely see him carving out a lane here. I know he's doing kind of more like B-movie, more in the action direction more recently, and, like, some thrillers, things like that. I think he's firmly planted, his position here to be in some campy ass horror movies.
He's been doing.
He's the reason to see this movie. Yeah, honestly,
he just did a movie called The Exorcism, which nobody saw. Yeah. But he's great in this movie. I think his performance is very camp.
Yep.
It is reminiscent of, like, B-movie Nicolas Cage or B-movie Vincent Price, like, just giving you what you want from a B-movie performance by an A-list actor.
And he's making, like, the Italian accent, he's making a choice to do it, you know what I mean? And I'm not, it's probably not accurate, you know what I mean? But he's consistent. We always talk about that. If you're consistent with your choice, and you're making it work, it works. And the fact that he's, like, kind of this jokester and, like, not taking anything seriously, he made that a character. Like, it all kind of worked together for that character.
I like the bits he has in this. I love when one of my favorites is when he hands the priest the skull, and he's like, "Oh, this guy," and I'm like, "What? What is that?"
Or he recognizes, like, the skeleton, and he's like, "Oh, he's the first exorcist of all time." And you're like, "Wait, what?
Wait, what the hell? How did you know that?"
Just some of it's the writing, but it's also Russell Crowe just, like, selling the shit out of it.
But, when you read Father Amorth's book, he paints himself larger than life. It's kind of like a superhero. And to make a serious movie out of Father Amorth would be a joke because there's no way to take him seriously as a real person.
Well, and The Exorcist, we talked about this on The Exorcist. The Exorcist did it as good as you're ever going to do it.
Right.
You know what
You're
I mean?
never going to do a better serious Exorcist movie than The Exorcist.
So why not take that as a license to do this? You know, do something more in this line and go crazy with it. Like we, you know, again, like go back to our Exorcist episode, because I feel like that was a lot of our complaints with like modern Exorcist movies. And I would be a lot more kinder to them if they started making these choices. You know what I mean? Started being more fun, having a priest that doesn't take themselves so seriously all the time, because that's just not. I mean, that's not accurate either. You know, priests are people.
They are. We've talked about this before. Priests are people. Most priests I know are actually really funny.
Yeah,
the good ones are usually really funny and have great jokes. So yeah.
Also in this movie, like you got kind of the more serious priest, Daniel Zovato as Father Esquivel, who's kind of helping out. He's a Costa Rican actor, and he's also in a lot of horror movies I've liked in recent years. Don't Breathe, It Follows.
Oh, It Follows is great. That was actually funny thing about It Follows. That part of that was shot behind my dentist's office.
Whoa!
From like when I was a child. It was weird. It was freaky. What the stuff with like them playing euchre on the front porch, and like when the mother breaks into like the guy's house. Like all their houses, the subdivision is right behind my dentist office. So like I grew up, like I knew friends in those neighborhoods and stuff. So like that movie freaks me out because it's so like connected to the nostalgia of being a child in Michigan. Yeah, I just had to say that because
it's a very effective movie. I mean, I was
and actually very close to my church.
I was freaked out when I saw it in the theater as well. It's just very effective at
it's good.
Being unsettling. Also, someone I recognize, the mother, Alex Esso, who plays Julia Vasquez. You might recognize her. She did a great job being Wendy Torrance in Doctor Sleep, which like I know a lot of people are going like, how are they going to deal with portraying these legendary horror characters? And they recast them. She was Wendy Torrance. I thought she did fantastic in it. Like, and I'm glad they didn't do the de-aging crap for that. You know, Mike Flanagan, thanks 100% like for not doing that. And a lot of other like Mike Flanagan shows that he's done, like Midnight Mass and Bly Manor. I wasn't a huge fan of, but Midnight Mass, I would say I've recommended that to people that aren't even into horror. Like that is just a great show. That's also creepy. And then the last one I put here is Ralph Ineson, who's the voice of Asmodeus.
Yes.
He just has that gravelly ass voice, recently used in Fantastic Four, the new one, as Galactus, I guess. You know,
wow. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, he would be a good voice for
the
that.
Planetary, you know, god or whatever in that. But also in like a lot of A24 stuff, like The Green Knight. And he's the voice of that. And then The Witch as well. So as soon as the little boy started talking, I said, wait, I know that voice. And I looked it up, and yep, it's Ralph Ineson. So
wait, you mean it's not Andy Serkis?
It's not Andy Serkis.
Man.
But shout out to that boy too. He was selling the shit out of being possessed too, which is always, you know, you never know what you're gonna get when you have kid actors. But we have Peter DeSouza Fayani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I thought he was great. Like he was selling it, and I think it also helps that they're doing the Exorcist kind of route where it's like very slowly possessing him. You're seeing him kind of decompose.
So the kid is in the Puniverse movie that comes out?
No, are you serious?
The Blood and Honey like Monsters Assemble movie that's coming out. That's got Pinocchio and Winnie the Pooh, and I don't even know who that is. Who is that?
Oh yeah, he's in Blood and Honey 2, and he's going to be in Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
How are they making them that fast?
I don't know.
I mean, they look terrible, but like, and very low rent. But Jesus. Okay.
But I thought he did a great job of selling it. I mean, along with the makeup and everything like that. Like he was just like very creepy, and the voice stuff worked. I know that's always a thing too, where is the voice going to match up with the performance? You know what I mean? I thought it did.
He looks like Gollum.
He does.
It's giving me Gollum vibes, but I liked it. I'm not saying it's bad, but it was at first I was very much feeling like I was in Lord of the Rings for a second.
Mm-hmm.
But you quickly made it his own. I think I'm not saying it was bad. It was wild how much it felt like an Andy Serkis like mocap performance.
Yeah, it's not Snoke.
The kid has a future, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I love the little details of like the contacts that keep like switching or whatever.
Wild, yeah.
And sometimes they're like doing CGI to make it like
blended.
Yeah, different colors and things like that. Like the eyebrows that start protruding and things like that, and just like stuff moving under his skin. It's stuff we've seen before, but again, they're doing it in like an effective way. I think shooting it in an effective way.
That kid and Russell Crowe are the two MVPs of this movie.
Yeah.
The kid just for like the endurance and being able to give that performance.
Because he has to go toe to toe with them in scenes, like pretty much. Yeah.
And like just wearing, I mean, he's playing the makeup chair at like what, 4 a.m. every day?
Yeah.
You know? And then head to head with a great actor like Russell Crowe, who's giving his all.
And we should say, saying some like R-rated crazy shit like Reagan in The Exorcist, like, I'm gonna make you come and shit like that. Like when he started talking sexual to Russell Crowe.
This is one of those movies though.
I'm gonna fuck you so hard. You're like,
this is one of those movies though where that kind of makes me go like, should we still be casting children in movies? Is this ethical?
Yeah, the fact that he had to say those lines it was wild. Some of the lines he had to say to Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, as the parent of this child, I'm like, but I guess, you know, when Linda Blair did The Exorcist, she said that she understood it was make-believe and not reality.
And she didn't know what she was saying either.
That helped.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
Like,
this kid probably knows. He has the internet.
Right.
Kid has a smartphone. He's seen some stuff.
Oh, man. So should we get into this movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because
it is 1987. And the Pope's exorcist pulls up to a small Italian village.
I love this opening.
Where a teenage boy, Enzo, is seemingly possessed by a demon. With the local priest, Amorth enters the room where Enzo is tied up. While exorcising him, he uses a St. Benedict. See, there it is, the St. Benedict medal. I told you about this beforehand.
Yeah.
Which the St. Benedict medal and cross are both classically used in spiritual warfare. Very heavily used by exorcists, very popular in the charismatic community and more traditional Catholic circles. Just have to point that out. Amorth taunts the demon, which right off the bat we know he's got jokes. And he understands humor is a way to defeat the devil per the mythology of exorcism. And he challenges it saying, like, you couldn't possibly possess that pig, because they bring a pig in the room. And the devil's like, oh, I could totally possess that pig.
He defeats this demon by negging it.
Yeah.
Basically
negs it into jumping into the pig.
And then the villager, the father, shoots it in the head. And that's how we start this movie. And it's like, again, when I first saw this movie, I'm like, wow, like, what an opening. Like, when we're talking about all these other, you know, Indiana Jones, Bond, they all have this cold open that introduces you to this character for the first time. And this was it. And I thought, like, okay, this tells me what I need to know. Like, he's a jokester. I love the little scene he has with like the little sister.
Yes.
You know, it's like, okay, so, you know, he cares about these kids. He's not just, you know, he's like, you know, he's speaking in Italian. You get some of the accent work there. And, you know, using humor and stuff like that, you know, because, you know, we learn later, you know, the devil hates jokes. You know, he likes irony, jokes. But he hates jokes.
So the devil's a hipster is what you're telling me.
Pretty much.
Damn it.
And just...
The devil moved to Williamsburg in 1999.
And just like outsmarting this they call him a boy. He's definitely like a 30-year-old man or whatever. That
he looked a little older than a boy. That's just Italy. You're a boy until you're an old man.
A bambino or whatever.
One day you just become an old man.
But yeah, I just, again, it's characterization. It's watching him do his thing. He's like, you know, you say you're the devil, you know, what's my name then? You should know this stuff. And just seeing like kind of his process, which helps. So when he gets to the second family, like the main family, and he's trying out these tricks and like not taking it very seriously because he's done it before so many times. And then you see the look on his face of being like, oh shit, like this is not that village family. Like this is a real exorcism. This is the 2%. Yeah. So I thought it was a great opening.
I loved it. Opening. And I was prepared for Russell Crowe to give a kind of cheeseball bad performance in this, but I think it's actually a really good.
It's nuanced. It's nuanced in certain
really good
scenes.
Performance. Yeah. It's camp as fuck, but it's brilliant. I think it's really, he has some great business he does in this, some great mannerisms, and
It's controlled. Like he turns it up when it needs to, but in those smaller scenes, he knows how to just like talk to like another. Like it feels like he's having a conversation with someone, and again embodying this character. Like it feels like a real person.
And I come back to that Nicolas Cage, Vincent Price thing of like, those are two guys who late in their career fell into doing more B movies from having had A-list careers, but that's really where they became beloved, I think. I mean, not that Nicolas Cage wasn't like he was a marquee star in the 90s, right? And I loved him, but he has a level of love for him now that is like something an A-lister would kill for.
Yeah, I was just talking about that one Weight of that has a terrible title. The Weight of Massive Talent, The Unbearable Weight of Massive
Talent, yeah.
Where he's playing himself, the beloved actor Nicolas Cage.
Like, what A-lister is going to make that movie?
I know.
It only works with somebody like Nicolas Cage. And you love every minute of it because it's just, he's doing this thing that certain B-movie actors, especially when they came from A acting, like, I don't know. It's the thing Vincent Price had too, where it's just, you can't explain what it is, but it makes the movie so enjoyable. And I feel like this era of Russell Crowe, he's doing that. I mean, The Nice Guys is a movie I love from 10 years ago, but you could start to see inklings of that in that time period where you're like, okay, something's happening here. He's loosening up. He's being less of a serious marquee idol. He was always a serious fighting guy, right? You know, fighting around the world.
Yeah, like Sword and Sandal, like The Gladiator is probably the peak of his career.
Robin Hood, you know.
Maybe Beautiful Mind, because I think that won awards as well.
Beautiful Mind was his height as like a prestigious actor.
But that era of like early 2000s was definitely like his peak as a main marquee star. And, you know, we kind of went over his filmography before we started recording, and we don't ever want to like kick actors, you know, or whatever like that, because we love Russell Crowe, you know, here, and like you said, The Nice Guys was 10 years ago. That's probably the last thing that we both love,
right?
But I think we both agree that like if he does more things like this, you know, his physicality is different now. Yes. He's older now. He's grayer now, like, and so, but he can still bring like the gravitas of an A-lister, because like you said, he grew up in that arena, you know, not to bring it back to Gladiator.
And I feel like he's loosening up now. He feels really like in control of what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm all about being in the gutter with Russell Crowe, if I can be frank. Like, I want to, because I like seeing what people can do with B movies, because B movies give you so much more freedom to experiment a lot of times. Unless I mean, obviously something like an A24 picture that, but like a B movie, you can play around, and he's doing that here, and it's good. Like, it's really good. So,
and I guess maybe that the fact that it was based on a real person and he was kind of like doing research on it, maybe that helped him find that character. I don't know. Maybe that's like one instance where that did help him, I guess, find that.
I mean, Amorth is
performance.
An interesting character, and we'll get into him in a bit, but I do think that helps a lot to have an understanding of who Father Amorth was, and that he's a complicated, nuanced character who, for all intents, for all my understanding, you know, was a funny guy, like had a sense of humor, but also could be deeply serious about spiritual matters. And I think he does that really well here. He really channels that, and obviously, like the cuckoo bit in this, where he goes cuckoo
at random moments, and we never learn. I mean, we learn like the significance of the bird or whatever. Yeah. But it never like translates into why he says that. It's just like a character quirk. You know what I mean?
And it's probably something the real Amorth did, I'm guessing. I mean, that's all it feels like is something that he probably learned about this guy and put into the performance. And it's so good. It's a great example of just a really well-researched role and performance.
If I had to track when this started, by the way, I would say it was 2020's Unhinged.
Okay.
Have you ever seen this one?
No.
Okay, it's not, I wouldn't say it's great. It's not a good movie. Like, I had a lot of problems with it, and I think it kind of got lost. It was one of the last like main releases before COVID happened.
Okay.
So that's kind of its legacy now.
Yeah,
but he's playing the stalker in this thriller. Like, it's a road rage thriller, and he's playing the rager, basically. And so his performance in that, again, is the reason like to go see that and recommend it. You know what I mean?
I'm curious because I just want to see what he does. That's the thing. He's entered this era of like, I'm almost more interested in Russell Crowe as the sole element of a film now than I might not have been before.
I'm looking at the credit, by the way, too, and I don't think they ever say his name in the movie. It's just Man.
That's like Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke.
Yeah.
Pedro and Man.
And then when he did Thor Love and Thunder, which like, you know, a couple years later.
Accent, man.
Which tried to go, I would say, a little too far into camp for most people.
Yeah.
You know, myself included. But like him showing up as Zeus, it's like, that's
no notes.
Those are the parts. Those are the parts I feel like he should be pursuing at this point in his career.
That's all I remember about that movie, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm like, Natalie Portman's in it. The Guardians are in it for a second. And then I just remember Russell Crowe's insane Greek accent.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I remember is like, yeah, that part was great.
He's loving accents right now too. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Give me more.
All right, let's get back into the movie.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. We had to do that. We had to go on Krill Corner.
But yeah, after he kills this pig, we get the first awesome 1980s needle drop of the movie.
Yeah.
Goth club classic. She sells Sanctuary by The Cult. The Cult, a band with a weird legacy in that they started as a goth band, and by the late 80s were kind of in that like Guns N' Roses-ish kind of area. And if I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me. But it feels like they kind of became like more of a hair rock band by the end of the era. Once you get to the songs like the song Firewoman is like, I think the point everybody kind of points to. It's very different than She Sells Sanctuary or Rain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different vibe. But yeah, She Sells Sanctuary, all-time goth banger. I loved hearing it.
I mean, definitely, because again, it says that it's a period piece, but like details like that definitely like sell it that it's a period piece, at least for me.
Well, and I like that the songs were really thought out in terms of like how they comment on what's going on
in the movie
without like being too on the nose.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
She Sells Sanctuary. If you know what the song is, you're like, oh, I see what they're doing here. But it doesn't feel like obvious. Or like later, there's a Faith No More song, We Care a Lot, and they use the part in the song where Mike Patton's just repeating, "It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it," and it's the Pope on his scooter, and I'm like, yeah, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a dirty job, Pope's exorcist.
It's a dirty job. I'm going to clean up the streets.
I'm going to clean up. Someday a real wind will wash away the streets in Rome.
Oh, God.
That's what we need. We need a crossover between Taxi Driver and the Pope's Exorcist.
I was thinking, okay, by the end of this movie, when it gets full superhero, which we'll get to, that this should go into the Fast and Furious lane of every sequel getting crazier.
Honestly,
and more elevated.
We have what, one or two more Fast sequels? I think we have one more, right? They just went to the Vatican.
I think it's two more. I think they're splitting the last one into two parts.
Like the Mission Impossible thing.
But
well, they just went to the Vatican in 10. So I think like, where can you go from there? You got to team up with the Pope's Exorcist.
Imagine a scene with Russell Crowe and Vin Diesel in a room.
Give me that. I want it so bad.
I never knew my father. And then Russell Crowe, I'll be your father. I'll be your father.
I'll be your father. I am a father.
Should we just start writing this? Should we just pause the recording?
Yeah, somebody get me Ben's email or his agent or whatever. We're going to send this transcript in.
Oh, God.
Get a one-pager together. All right. You got your elevator pitch ready?
This is where we get the, chief of police chewing out Amorth for his untraditional.
The chief of police. I don't think that's his title. I think it's the doctrinal chief, right?
There you go.
He's
Whatever.
The chief of. Okay.
But in B movie terms,
I
always.
I think this is dicastery for the doctrine of the faith. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong about that.
We're trying to move the church in a new direction.
The Catholic Church. We've made a few changes.
Your means we don't have time. And then I love his response where he's like, "So we don't believe in evil anymore." Or,
that's half his book is being like, the young priests, they don't believe in evil anymore.
Well, I guess we should all go home. Like, what are we doing here?
I love that bit. Again, I love that it's like this like Lethal Weapon setup of they're being like, you're a loose cannon, Pope's exorcist.
You did and he's like, technically that village wasn't an exorcism, so I don't know what you're talking about. Getting off in a technicality. Yeah. But yeah, he was doing a psychological trick. Sometimes people just need a little, a little push.
Yep.
If that's shooting a pig in the face, sometimes it's what it takes.
It does seem like a lot of what he did as an exorcist in real life was like mind
games. Yeah.
Mind games. Well, because he wanted to rule out mental illness, right? And even in cases where things weren't explainable by science and medicine, supposedly, he worked hard to make sure they weren't properly possessed. Don't even get me started on how you determine that, but
This is where you get the first mention from Amorth himself, actually, where he's like, what is this about? They're kind of being cagey about it. And he's like, is this not about the woman that died that I wrote about? And, then they all start getting in an uproar. And that's when
shade in
that's when he rattles off that monologue that Bill so wonderfully said at the top.
I did my best.
My
best Super Mario accent.
My boss is the Pope. You got a problem with me? You take it up with the big guy.
Right.
So and then he storms out.
This is a good opportunity to talk about his position as chief exorcist or the Pope's exorcist. There is no chief's exorcist in the Vatican. Here's how it works. Okay, let me explain it. So
break it down.
Yeah. Basically, not every, but a lot of dioceses, especially now, there's a lot more of them that have this, but they can have an exorcist or a few exorcists, depending. Especially in Europe, it seems more common for there to be like more than one exorcist per diocese. So Amorth, before he was an exorcist of the Diocese of Rome, he served under Father Candido Amontini, who features heavily in his book, An Exorcist Tells His Story. The person who appointed him was not the Pope, okay? The person who appoints the exorcists in Rome is the Cardinal Vicar of Rome, who is not the Pope. This was Cardinal Ugo Paletti, who made him an exorcist of the Diocese of Rome in 1986, when he was 60 years old. So, again, there's no chief position because there are usually multiple. There might be just one, but if there's one, you're not the chief. You're the only exorcist.
Right.
And he was a diocesan exorcist in Rome. Now, that doesn't mean he has any kind of more authority than the exorcist of Indianapolis, Indiana, which is a thing. They have an exorcist. I think because he was in Rome, he was seen as being a bit of a celebrity. I know Pope John Paul II evidently really liked the guy, so he was kind of the celebrity exorcist.
I was just going to say, it's like if you want to make a name for yourself in this field, I guess selling yourself and your relationship to the Pope and having this, even if it's not true, Pope's exorcist title probably helps with that. It probably helps you sell more books.
I think part of it's him and part of it's the media. I think he wrote the first book. And the media jumped on that and called him the Pope's exorcist or the Pope's chief exorcist because the media, frankly,
doesn't know.
Well, yeah, if you don't have a Catholic writing the article, they don't get the hierarchy of how it works. And usually, I'll be honest, I've been a journalist. A lot of times you don't have time to fully understand something like that.
You got a deadline.
So you're okay, I guess he's the exorcist of, he's the exorcist for the Pope. Yeah, he's the Pope's exorcist.
He's in Rome. Makes sense.
Yeah. So it was a media thing. And I think eventually he realized it was good for his brand. So he spun it. And I think there's a little bit of ego to this, honestly, for him being this famous, because evidently exorcists are not supposed to be, they're supposed to be not seen or heard. They're supposed to be behind the scenes, very quiet, very humble. You aren't really supposed to know who they are. That's why the current exorcist of the Diocese of Rome, nobody has any idea who it is. I looked on the internet, no one has any clue. It might be a vacant position or the Pope has assigned one and we don't know who it is. Pope Francis may have assigned somebody. So it's one of those things where exorcists realistically are supposed to be in the shadows. They're not really supposed to be visible. So it's weird that Father Amorth was this visible and this much of a celebrity.
Right.
And so that helps going into this kind of understanding what kind of man we're dealing with in the movie.
Kind of larger than life.
Yeah, very larger than life figure. And who better to play that than Russell
Crowe at this point in his career.
Yep.
So we meet the family at this point, I guess. And I would say this is kind of the other part of the movie that doesn't really work for me. It's very traditional exorcism stuff. And again, I don't know if it was from rewrites or something like that. Maybe the family was more of a thing, but it almost feels like the movie agrees with me because they kind of become an afterthought, especially towards the end. And I just think that that's when I rewatch The Exorcist, they do such a masterful job of building this relationship with the mom and Reagan so that when stuff starts to go down, you really care about what happens to Reagan and you want this little girl to be saved, even though she's this demonic presence or whatever. And, kudos to the kid who played this, the boy. He's doing his best, but we just don't get that. They show up to this house and then they want to get Russell Crowe to the house as quickly as possible because some creepy shit starts happening with him. You know what I mean?
It got me really thinking about The Exorcist and our Exorcist episode we did where we talked about those wonderful humanistic kind of establishing scenes. And I think this was more of a thing in the 70s and 80s. Like we don't do, I guess A24 is a company. I see a lot of films from A24 like this where they do have the setup time. Like I think of like Hereditary.
I was just going to say Midsommar too with that opening.
So Ari Aster, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Ari Aster is somebody who really understands that. Mm-hmm. And I think he gets some pushback because he's not making these very frenetic, we're in it right away movies. He's like building the tension and establishing the relationship. So when shit gets crazy, you really feel it. And I think, like you said, I mean, the family should have been an afterthought almost because there's no point to establishing.
It's almost like we have an exorcism movie. We need a family. And it's exactly. Like, you know, like
I almost wish he had found the temple or wherever the hell it is, the well. I wish they'd found that earlier and it had gone more of a national treasure route and been more about the priests.
And that's where I hope the sequels go. I think like so. we were talking about, it's almost like a lot of times the first movie in the franchise has to set up the foundation using the familiar tropes, and then the sequels can get crazier once they have that template built. Now that we have this first one with the traditional exorcist family, we got that out of the way. Let's go full Amorth, moving forward, hopefully.
I do love that they've somehow inherited the Spanish abbey but have no other assets.
That's true.
Their only asset is like an insane ancestral family home they're going to flip.
Yeah.
Like it's a flip, like they're going to they're just going to like
just in the will.
HGTV the home.
It was just in the will, they say. And I mean, we learned that there was like a lot of trauma in their history later on in the film. It's like, why not open with that? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah. And it's the fact that the demon was hiding there was a little weird to me because this almost feels like maybe Amorth set them up to deal more with a familial curse. And there were rewrites that directed it more toward being something that has nothing really to do with exorcism in reality, because that would make sense. A lot of exorcism, according to Amorth, obviously none of this is factual, despite the fact that he says this is a fact repeatedly through the book. He just keeps saying it, and I'm like,
don't look it up. Cool. It's a fact.
The books are good. He goes through and is talking about how a lot of people who he sees for exorcism are most of them are suffering from spells, as he calls them. Either like familial curses that go back generations, or some mother-in-law didn't like the woman her son married, so she cursed them. That's what he claims a lot of these are. So my thought watching this initially, having just read the book, was like, oh, well, obviously it's going to be a familial curse from this guy's family, and kind of, but then not really at all. It's really not that.
Well, it's just like the rebellious like sister just did not work for me at all.
No.
Where she's like smoking cigarettes and the mom's like, you shouldn't wear that. There's going to be construction workers there. I was like, oh, what the hell is that?
I like her mixtapes are good though.
She has good taste in music.
Gone Daddy Gone by the Violent, our local boys, the Violent Femmes.
But again, it just seemed like at first she's dealing with these like random knocks that are happening, and then it's just like, all right, we can't think of anything else for her to do. We're just kind of forgotten. But the boy, again, he's doing such heavy lifting. I love the first scene when the priest comes in and, he says to the mom, bring me the priest. And then so they bring this priest that just happens to be there, right? Like helping out Father Escobel. And then all of a sudden he flies out of the door and he goes, wrong fucking priest.
I love that.
Again, this is the B-movie schlock that we love to see.
I love that stuff. That's so good. And Amorth arrives, meets Henry, who
on his scooter.
Scooter again.
Hilarious. Like the way they shoot that and reveal that is, it's almost like they know, like, this is ridiculous. But
there's no way he drove his scooter. I think they did the math on how did this get made, and I think they figured out it was like 12 tanks of gas to get there on the scooter. 12 tanks.
And I was just like, I mean, how else are you going to have his cloak like billowing in the wind, I guess? It wouldn't look as cool if he was on an airplane, maybe,
Look, say what you will
and
about
his hat, his like fedora too, like very cool looking priest design, which is important in these movies because like in The Exorcist, we talked about how iconic those looks are too, but...
This is the kind of stuff that was why I could never not be Catholic. It's too, like if I was it was like Catholic or atheist. I can't do the in-between. I need this stuff. I love it.
And I guess Henry can't talk, which again, they don't really spend a lot of time on, but like he hasn't talked since the incident where his dad was impaled in a car accident. He was in the car, and the doctors, they speed through this like very fast. Like doctors say there's nothing in the MRI that shows anything's wrong. So
yep.
Try priest, maybe? Is the same hypothesis as the Exorcist.
It's funny. I did appreciate though that they showed that briefly and didn't try to go too deep into it, because the Exorcist nails the MRI and the spinal tap so well that it's like, don't even try to.
It's some of the scariest shit in that movie for me.
The science is like, the medicine is like the scary part, which is really funny.
The spinal tap is just nightmare fuel.
And I love that. So right off the bat, Amorth meets the demon, and he's being taunted with memories of World War II when he was a partisan, because evidently he fought against the fascists, which, points for Amorth. I like that he's anti-fascist.
He's got that going for him.
It is funny reading the book, because you're like, oh man, I can't completely dislike this guy. He's anti-fascist. He's got jokes. I mean, he advocates for the importance of prayer with the family.
And again, I love how he comes in so cocky. He's just like, piece of cake, I'll come in, you guys just sit tight. It'll be, quick. And then once the demon starts talking through Henry, he's like, oh shit. Like, he knows his name, which we in the opening exorcism, that was one thing that he caught the demon, like, you should know my name then. And then this demon, Gabriele, and he's like, oh god. And he starts talking, he calls him, he's like, show yourself, coward, and which is in his flashback of when he was pretending to be dead in the war to survive. And he's just like, okay, this boy knows things that he shouldn't know. And then he spits out a bird.
Yeah, knowledge of events you wouldn't have experienced are one of the symptoms of actual demonic possession, according to his book.
Yeah, and I guess the guy at the beginning, like the boy, it's weird calling him boy, but like he was speaking English, and he was like, well, is there a TV in the house? He was like coming up with the more logical explanations for stuff like this. But
I do like they showed him trying to rule out logical explanations.
Exactly.
So I did appreciate that. I thought that was, because we've talked about this
which
before.
was our takeaway in The Exorcist as well.
The Catholics, especially post the 1600s, started developing the system of exorcism where, it's like you have methods to prevent abuse or bad things from happening, just because people had been like executed for being witches,
Well, that's one of my favorite lines when the mom's like, can you perform an exorcism or what? And then he's like, do you have a time machine? Right. He just looks at her like, what are you talking about, lady?
Well, and I think that's the reaction of most priests. If you went to them about an exorcism would react this way.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that when I moved to Chicago and brought up the charismatic renewal, which is actually kind of exorcist adjacent. They're into a lot of the same stuff that exorcists are into. I was
Exorcism light.
Yeah, I was into it for a while. I've actually been baptized in the Spirit. I've spoken in tongues. We haven't talked about that before on here, but
damn.
I was given the gift of wisdom, knowledge, prophecy, speaking in tongues, and I feel like there's another one in there somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I have any of those powers. I can speak gibberish pretty well.
Can you spit out birds? Because that was gross.
Let me work on that.
That was gross. You see it, like the way that it's like bulging on his neck. Oh, that was disgusting.
Yeah. Well, something I think is really cool in this movie is how, they establish the fact that they have to be free of sin before going into the exorcism, and they take each other's confessions. I think that's really cool. They got that down. And also the focus on prayers, the fact that he asks, what prayers do you know? And he says, well, the Our Father, but I'm more comfortable saying it in Spanish. If I'm under the gun, I'd rather say it in Spanish. And
I just love like Crowe's performance, just like, because the first time, he says, I haven't confessed in 8 months.
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, you're sorry, right? You're forgiven. It's just like,
that's such a priest, but that's like that's a normal priest. Like, I love that. Like, I've known priests like that who are like, it's fine, whatever.
But he just like, he's underestimating this demon because of his jaded point in this life. You know what I mean?
But you know what it is though, is he's doing a job, man. It's like when you do a job for 20 years, you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I've seen this before, whatever. Not realizing he's dealing with like something very old and dark.
And the part that you mentioned where he's like, I know it better in Spanish. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like,
I also do like that they bring up the classic trad talking point that the devil hates Latin.
Yeah.
And he wants him to.
I knew you would pick up on that.
I hate that. Well, here, okay. I have to break this down for a second.
That Latin is more powerful against the demonic forces. Yeah.
It makes no sense though, because the scriptures would have been written in Aramaic, right? Or Greek, if you're talking New Testament. So like, why would it be Latin? The Bible doesn't exist in Latin until the Vulgate, which is a few centuries into Christianity and Catholicism. It makes zero sense that the devil hates Latin. I've never understood that. I think it's really silly to say that because it doesn't make sense. It's especially because it's the language of the empire that murdered the Christians. The early Christians were tortured, murdered, killed and hunted down by the Roman Empire. That's their language. It's the language of the empire that crucified Christ. Why would that be the language that the devil hates? I've never understood that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do like where he's like, do you know the Latin? And he's like, no, I know in Spanish. He's like, well, it's close enough to Spanish.
It'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be good enough. Like, what?
I don't know how that works.
I don't think Father Amorth would say that.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know about him.
But then more importantly, too, he doesn't confess himself Amorth, too.
Right.
So that's another thing that's going to come back later because... And when they have this confrontation with Henry starts like mocking Esquivel for like, you fucked the whore and blah, 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 even though you promised yourself to God. And, this takes him off guard. How could this kid know that stuff too?
Right.
And they basically have to have a redo of that confession later after this.
Meanwhile, back in Rome, the Pope becomes ill while reading documents about the Spanish case and is hospitalized. So this is that thing you talked about. The Pope having this like psychosomatic reaction to what's like knowledge of what's going on with the exorcism.
They're trying to give him stuff to do, but like you said, it works so much better if he's M. He collects the information of where he needs to go, and then he's like, "I'm going to send you on your way. Yep. Check back in with me when your mission's done." Like that's pretty much all we needed the Pope for. Like we love Franco Nero, but yeah, it didn't really work, this stuff for me necessarily.
Well, and that's why just take it to its natural conclusion, which is the M role, since he's sending the Pope's exorcist on missions, which I'm really hoping if they do a second movie that's what happens.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I love this scene too, though, where they find the well in this mansion, and they learn that, the Pope says, we've had problems with this location before, and they realize like, whoa, okay, this is like demonic ground, not just like the spirit in this kid. He finds the seal
of the Vatican on the lid that covers the well, and under that is a seal of the symbol of the Spanish Inquisition.
And this is where we get the National Treasure vibes that you're talking about.
Yes.
I also laughed so hard when he has to get the lid off of the well, and he uses his scooter and ties a rope around it to get.
So good.
In no world would that scooter be able to like. But it's this like 50-pound, like 100-pound, whatever lid on here. But it's oh god,
it's a great bit though.
It's part of his like lore, I guess. If this is his superhero, this is his like mode of transport. This is his vehicle. This is Batmobile.
Right. Exactly.
So of course he uses it, and then he's got all these skulls around. Like this, the production design was actually like pretty good.
It's
I feel
pretty
like
impressive.
For like a low budget movie.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like like the church stuff, like the well, and then when they actually go into the that basement part, like going into hell, I thought all that stuff was really well done too.
I really love the set in the well. And then the throne room, I guess, sort of situation that they end up at, and
and all these skulls are people that were killed in the Spanish Inquisition, the darkest time in the Catholic Church history.
One of the great sins of the church.
Which they kind of blame on the devil in this movie, which I don't know how you feel about that.
I was angry.
They kind of retcon the church's sins on, well, the devil must have possessed one of the original exorcists, and they were spreading evil from inside the church.
Now I know how Marvel fans feel when they change like the script of Days of Future Past,
right?
Or something,
exactly,
and they get mad about it. And I'm like, why are you angry? It's still a good
Wolverine
movie.
Is a lot shorter in the comics.
Why does Guy Gardner have that haircut? It's in the comics. But yeah, no, I did feel like they were kind of well, and it's not just that, but it's also like, oh yeah, let's just make excuses for the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah,
granted, I mean, if we're okay, let's get into the history real quick here. Just real briefly. The Inquisition was originally essentially an inquiry into heresy started by the Vatican, but it is the Catholic monarchs of Spain who really take that and run with it. And that's where the history of torture and, trying Muslims and Jewish people as heretics, that's where that all comes from. So the church is to blame, but also they're not the only people to blame. It's a little bit of everything,
But yeah, I didn't love that. I didn't love, like, if we're talking propaganda stuff, that's probably some of the heaviest here. You know what I mean? Of like,
it wasn't our fault.
We're wiping our hands away from it. And like all the evils that come from the church, it's the devil.
Well, that's very Father Amorth, though. If you read him, he blames the gay agenda and gay demons for the abuse crisis, the abuse scandals. He says, he has blamed the gay agenda for that partially. So.
And I mean, I agree with him that evil exists in the world, but I think we've talked about this before. It's from humans. You know what I mean? That's where evil is come from. It's not this like kind of, concept that, we can just apply to stuff when we want it, when it fits like our agenda. You know what I mean?
Well, right. And I feel like it's very convenient for him and other exorcists. People will, I mean, it sucks because it like when the exorcists do this or priests do this or religious figures do this, their followers then pick up those talking points. I've heard people call Democrats demonic because of something some idiot priest said, who probably isn't even like a big important priest, but they heard their priest say it. So now here they go.
And this was like
demonic.
Before the abuse scandal, right? At this time in the 80s.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, but like having that frame of reference too, like it also was weird that both of our central priests have these like relationships with women beforehand.
Yeah.
Which was kind of took me off guard. But again, I guess this was before that stuff broke. But again, it's like, it's not the stereotype of priests and little boys is completely ignored here.
I think part of it is that's kind of a dead horse we've been beating for a while.
Yeah. It's not like I wanted to see like it would have made it better if they were men,
right.
That were haunting them. But it's just like in pop culture, in things that we know, it's not traditionally what you see like as priests, like big sin, I guess, when it comes to relationships, romantic relationships or something like that.
And it was different, which I appreciated, I mean, because back in the 40s or 50s, there were
pays dividends at the very end, which we'll get into. So,
but it is an older type of narrative of the priest being tempted by a woman. Like in the movie I Confess is a great example of this, the Hitchcock movie, or, I'm trying to think of another great example. There's just countless ones. I'm just not pulling it off the top of my head right now. But, it's a classic trope as well that we haven't seen in a while because of the abuse crisis. The abuse crisis really colors a lot of any movie that's like Catholic adjacent post 2003 is going to talk about child abuse, either through jokes or, plot points like this. So it's interesting they didn't go for what I like to call the low hanging fruit. Like, yes, absolutely. The abuse in the church is a terrible, horrific problem, but I do feel like movies tend to use it as low-hanging fruit when talking about the church, because there's so much to criticize about the church that isn't.
And this is a campy movie. It's not like it would.
That's the other thing.
Taking a serious subject like that, it just wouldn't fit in this type of movie.
It would feel unethical, and it would bog the movie down. That's the other thing. So I think making it about like a relationship with women, I think it's better for this type of film.
But this type of not grave digging, but like site digging, like is archaeological finding is very Indiana Jones and National Treasure, which hopefully they do more of that in the sequels. I really like all these skeletons that they're finding with like, rings on them and like all these like, him recognizing it is ridiculous, but it's finding artifacts like that. The act of finding something and discovering something and like relating that to an audience, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Like that's
stuff we haven't really seen either. Like we haven't seen like church artifact.
Why isn't Nicolas Cage making a National Treasure movie every damn year? You know what I mean?
Because like Disney wanted to make a TV series without him. I think Disney's trying to kill National Treasure, if I'm being honest. But that's another story. Yeah, no, I do think this would make an interesting money-making series of movies if it was more leaning into the National Treasure, because there are a million Exorcist movies out there, and to make it, you could still have the Exorcist be the hero, but then like do something different. Don't make it like every other Exorcist movie. They start to blend together after a while, and I thought this was going to be like that, but actually those elements are why I was like, there's something here. They could totally take this and run with it the way they set it up at the end. So hopefully they do a sequel and kind of lean into that.
Well, and then this is where we get the second confession. And I really like the scene too. Like this is where, you get the backstory behind what Amorth was talking about with this mentally disturbed woman who he didn't help. And he feels guilt over that because he's like, I'm an exorcist. You need, actual medical attention. And so he kind of passed her along. And then, but yeah, that was kind of one shocking thing where she was going like, I've been assaulted basically. Like, and he goes, what did the demon look like? And she said, you. So basically implying that priests have been, assaulting her in this mental hospital or whatever. So that was kind of a dark thing I wasn't expecting in this movie.
I mean, again, I think that's playing into the real world cause he had of trying to bring up this missing case that's still unsolved. Part of me wonders if he knew something. If let's assume he's not a total like lunatic and just like making this up. Part of me does wonder if there's something he knows from the seal of confessional that he couldn't say. And I wonder if that's something,
and that would explain some guilt because it doesn't really make sense why he would feel guilt. He did the right thing. You know what I mean? You're not qualified to help this woman, like, So, and I mean, the suicide scene is again, like, trigger warning for people. They do show her jumping off of a building and it's very disturbing, that scene. And he also goes into like his World War II story. But yeah, I just think that's important. I love that scene in The Exorcist too, where they take a break from the actual exorcism and they talk, just talk outside the stairs. Like, I think we both love that scene.
I love that scene.
You need the downtime. It's like, it's showing like how physically exhausting this process is.
Watching a movie in a theater is physically exhausting.
Right.
I need a break. You can't keep slapping me in the face or I become numb,
And it's like they're still in the catacombs or whatever too at this point too, which is kind of funny that they're having this confession in this really dark, dingy dungeon type environment, which is where we used to record too. But
it is like the dungeon of decency. It's true.
And then they're kind of renewed, like, all right, let's do this thing. Like we're sin to confessed. He gives, and then he like kind of regroups with the family too, keep praying. I'm going to give you this medal. He's using a lot of terms that you were talking about. Like, this is a fight in the war of the devil. Like
the miraculous medal is, I think that appeared in, it was a saint, I believe, or it was related to a saint, but it appeared in like 1830 is the first time they were pressed. And then they kept making them. Again, this is one of those, if you ever spend time in the Catholic internet, you'll see somebody's grandma on there being like, make sure you have a scapula and a miraculous medal and a rosary. It's one of those things grandmas always have around, which is why I can't completely hate on it because we love grandmas. But also, like, it's a little silly.
It is.
And then they invented if it was like a thing that could have helped us, why didn't we have it in 300 AD? You know what I mean? Like, why is it showing up in 1830?
Yeah.
So, but and also this falls under, how is this not witchcraft?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's not much different than having a magic charm or like crystals or...
I guess they show that it doesn't really work though. It's not effective in this movie. So,
that is funny. Yeah.
Even though he's like, talking it up. I did like too, I forgot in the first like confession scene, the way it's shot, it's like going around them, like, and it's like breaking the 180-degree rule, which I thought was like interesting too. Like there's a lot of interesting choices in here from a directing standpoint. And again, like just little stuff that we've seen in other, like the sister, she like hides in the closet and, there's something like coming after her. The mom, she has this like sedative and the syringe. And then this is where we see that the demon is possessing the son and the daughter now.
Oh,
doing multi-possession.
Now, I know you love this because it's a different take.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's a cool, it's a cool literary or cinematic device. But according to Amorth, you can't contract demons. Like if you're hanging out with somebody, you're not going to like become infected with the demon.
Right.
The demon's not going to jump into you. It seems like generally, I mean, the one thing that could happen, it sounds like, is the Exorcist thing of the priest through praying with the sheer will of the victim, with the help of God, essentially evicts the victim out of the body, throws him outside with his television and his mattress and his clothes, onto the street, and then the demon could theoretically then hop into somebody else or livestock. That's the thing, I guess, but the whole like sharing a demon is very bizarre. That's not, it doesn't jive with what I've read about like just the lore and rules of exorcism and demonology, at least within Catholicism.
Yeah.
So
I just think it was cool, like because they come upon this book, they learn the demon's name.
Yep.
Which is like a big important thing. You know its name. It's like you can weaken it, supposedly. But then, the demon, like the whole scene where the sister's in the bed with the boy and they're both having the same mannerisms and talking at the same time.
So creepy.
Creepy as fuck. Okay. This was like the Shining twins. This was like, ooh.
That's why I just said, like, I like this. I just had to point that out, but it's fun. It's fun, stupid bullshit. I love it. And she climbs the wall.
What's in your hand, mommy? And she's doing the spider walk, which again is in the Exorcist director's cut.
Yes. And the climbing the ceilings is a thing that Amorth has said has happened during sessions when he's exorcised people, which once again, why isn't there video of this?
Yeah. And we got like the cameras like rotating, so you get the upside down POV. That was cool.
Right.
I also forgot, one of my other favorite lines Henry says early on is he touches his mom's boob at one point.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, I wasn't breastfed as a child, mommy.
Doesn't he say, like, baby hungry or something?
Yes,
I was like, oh, I don't like that.
I just had to point that out. Again, another creepy-ass scene that is like, all right, maybe we should call in somebody.
Yeah, right. Bring in the animatronic child to play this scene, please. Like...
as long as it's not AI, I guess, but then we get the Exorcist thing as well, where he accepts the demon into himself because everyone's about to die, basically. Right. The sister, the mom's like in the tub getting, destroyed by the sister, like bitten by the sister. You got, the other priest like hanging from his, what do you call that? Like
he's hanging by his stole, which is the piece of cloth that priests wear around their necks.
Escabel, yeah.
Evidently, according to this vestment store, it can cost between $43 and $999 for one of those things, depending on how fancy it is. Yeah, I'm guessing the $999 is for the Cardinal Burkes of the world.
So Asmodeus basically gives him the ultimatum. This is what he wanted from the beginning. He says, like, you took the bait. I wanted you here. I invited you here, and I want, to possess you. That's my ultimate goal. If you don't do it, everyone else is about to die. And so Amorth does the selfless thing and takes it in just like the priest and the exorcist and tries to kill himself just like the priest and the exorcist does. But then we get like an additional like 15 minutes, after this.
So have you ever seen the movie Die Monster Die with Boris Karloff? So at the end of that, it's very Lovecraftian, very moody movie up until the very end where he becomes like the radioactive space rock possesses him and he just becomes a fucking mindless monster. And this is totally like the trope where he becomes a monster and is just like, demon priest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got the CGI like black stuff around his eyes.
So wild. I liked it though. I mean, it's stupid fun.
It's better than when he was Mr. Hyde in the Mummy movie.
Well, I mean, anything's better than that. Like, come on. The bar is in hell. Hey.
But yeah, he tries hanging himself, and then, you get the Asmodeus being like, no, priest, we're not done here yet. Again, goofy shit. Like, just, it's fun, though.
I like when he goes down into the dungeon, or whatever it is.
And, he tells the family to leave, and they do. Honestly, why they didn't leave at the beginning of the movie. I would have left at the beginning of the movie. I get it's your son. You want to at least get your daughter out of there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Go stay at grandma's.
Maybe she was worried about those construction workers, out there. Those Spanish construction workers.
Naughty.
What were you going to say, though?
I like the scene when he goes into the crypt and there's the birds flying everywhere from earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. And of course I love our zombie Virgin Mary.
Man,
that's some good shit.
I think that's when I officially knew, like, okay, this is a camp cult movie that I have to tell Bill about this.
Like, no, when you saw it, you told me, and I do think we fudged this one because I looked up the rating and I think we did it again.
It's not
it's not morally offensive. You know what it was? We just assumed, I think, when you saw it.
How is this not?
I know, we were like, this has to be morally offensive, right? So we just guessed because we were like, it's an L. It's almost morally offensive, which we've done an L before. So it's not like we're doing an A2 or something, but it does disappoint me that it's not offensive because it's like, But that's the thing about the ratings.
The Virgin Mary.
I'm sorry to ruin it for you, by the way, before we got
zombie.
to the yeah.
And then there's like the naked lady that Esquivel was sleeping with,
and all
whatever.
the blasphemous stuff, the blasphemy that the kid's saying. All I can imagine was they gave an extra point off for it being based on Father Gabriele Amorth.
That's all I can think of.
That's the only reason. It's like if you're a Catholic, if you can set aside your morals for one night, you could watch this.
And I just have to say, like, Esquivel, I get it, man. Like, you see the lady that comes up and tries to possess him, and you're like, I get it. Like,
I was trying to
this is like a model.
She was of age, right? She looked of age to me. Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to make sure that was the implication because I would assume, I mean, she had to be. Her boobs were on film.
Yeah,
so yeah, okay,
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
But it was just like, and then, but I love the fact that she's like covered in blood too. It was like very gothic like image. And then he uses like the pendant, puts it on her forehead, and like she just explodes. And so now he's covered fully in blood. It's like
there's an end credit scene
bananas.
where he takes care of his blue balls and then goes to confession.
Yeah, it's like he seems pretty excited to keep doing this. I'm like, I don't know. After this experience, I'd probably be like, I don't know. I'm finding another. Like,
are there
girl
more naked ladies? Yeah. Like,
but yeah, it goes full. And then the CGI is not great. I would say that's like another thing that doesn't really hold up in this. And it turns into, speaking of comic book, like third act CGI fest. That it's just like whatever. I mean, even like I would say one effect that I was raving about, like the boy, how it was like very subtly done and like very prosthetic. Whenever the mouth like protrudes like super far and it's like got like it looks like rubber jaw, like, but it's CGI. They do that with Russell Crowe too. Those are like two effects that didn't work for me either.
I was laughing really hard when it happened to Russell Crowe. I was like, what is this choice? Because like to me, his mouth being open with the makeup and stuff, that does
nothing.
That's fine. Well, it doesn't. If you do want to do that, if you want to go very gonzo with it, like Fright Night style or something, like prosthetics, that's the way to do it. Don't do CGI.
I imagine stupid. It was probably like it's just going to take too much time. We can fix it later.
We can morph it in After Effects. Or whatever. I don't know how they do it.
But even like that puddle that the demons kind of like fade into, it reminded me of like very like the Mummy Returns type CGI where it wasn't there yet. And that movie's made like 20 years ago. So like that's not great. That's what I was thinking of like, ooh, some of these demon effect and like water effects like in that the black pus or whatever. And that
and to be fair, most CGI artists right now are really overworked and underpaid.
Oh, I'm sure they had super tight deadlines and but
that's just a general industry problem right now. That's why the CGI looks so bad across the board is that like it's being overused. They're being overworked and underpaid. That's
not unionized jobs. Yep. And so
pay your workers. It's a sin not to pay your workers a good living wage and to overwork them. Just to let you know, mortal sin, by the way, go to confession.
So then they both defeat their demons, and then Amorth, of course, has to like make a joke like, you need a shower or something, whatever he says, and
I need to clean the sin off me.
And then he pulls out his whiskey and he's like, God works in mysterious ways, which is an actual line in the movie.
That's what I say. I'm going to start saying that every time I pull out my flask. I'm going to be like, God works in mysterious ways.
I do like though that Esquivel refuses it earlier on in the film, and then after all this shit, I'm like, he better take a drink of that, and he did. So
no, I love stuff where you set stuff up like that and it pays off later, and it's like subtle. It's just you're like, okay, yeah. He's a different person coming out of this.
And so then they go back to meet with the Pope.
This is good.
And Amorth's like worried, like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with this. This guy that was chewing me out earlier, right. That like this was unsanctioned and you put people in danger, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, he's actually been taken to Guam, or whatever. He's in
random
Guam.
Location.
And I guess there was one weird scene with him too, where he's like in a church and he like screams out like that maybe something was happening. I don't know. It was very weird and like just
like maybe the missing girl from earlier or the girl from earlier was like his fault. Was that the implication? I was starting to wonder. I'm like, are they moving him around?
I'm like, are the demons like coming into the Vatican? Like that's the only thing I could. But then they just play it like very close to the vest. They don't ever explain.
Maybe he'll be the villain of the next movie. Maybe he'll be possessed in Guam.
When they say he goes to Guam, I'm like, oh, is that like whatever he saw or whatever possessed him, like forced him out or something? Like, but then that helps Amorth. So like,
I don't know.
Maybe it was Amorth playing a prank.
I think we're asking too many questions of this movie.
But then he's like, congrats. There's 199 more sites. that we have to explore. You
Well, no. You're jumping the gun here. First, they go to the Vatican libraries.
Oh yeah.
The secret archives, and you see all these like treasures.
A la Indiana Jones.
It's the warehouse end of Indiana Jones, but it's also mixed with like the Avengers Control Center of like Shield.
Nick Fury.
So it looks like some Nick Fury Shield shit. And this like head of the agency, who's a cardinal, takes them down there, and they look at a map that has the other 199 sites.
All these like red X's or whatever.
Very specifically, pointedly setting up a sequel. So for the love of God, please make the sequel to this movie. Because this totally changes the tone of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This, you're suddenly like, okay, no. We're no longer in like a Blumhouse film. We are now in like a Marvel movie. Like the Pope is going to assemble a team, a ragtag team, which is my favorite genre. Get a ragtag team of people together. Which I usually hate this.
Like, again, another worst example of this is The Mummy, where they were like, we're going to have 10 sequels and we're going to roll. And they ran before they walked. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like,
I don't know how they messed that up, to be completely honest. But that's a story for another day. But I don't know how you mess up getting the Universal monsters to team up. Like,
and set up all these sequels and like, you know, at the end and all this, like, you know, we're going to assemble a team, and it just was a disaster.
They didn't understand their property. They don't understand their own monsters.
That's one movie I'm not ashamed to say that I fell asleep during.
It's bad.
In the theater.
It's bad.
But yeah, and then it has one of the best final lines too, where like he asks Esquivel, like, you know, are you down for this, for another thing? And he's like, let's go to work. And
Russell Crowe says, let's go to hell.
Fuck yes. And that is the Pope's Exorcist.
Give me the second movie, though. I want to see the Pope and the Pope's Exorcist put together a team. We got different skills. There's going to be a rabbi in there, probably.
Bring in different B-movie actors.
I want some people from, like, bring in the Maronite Rite from, like, Lebanon. Bring in some, like, an Orthodox guy. Like, let's get, like the team, the super friends of religion together, you know? Like, let's do it. Like, I know they kind of did that in the newer Exorcist movie that we talked about earlier, but they didn't do it in a camp way.
No,
I want the superheroes of religion. Let's do it. Like, go,
I also,
or at least the Catholic Church. Like, get your different rites in. You know.
You just reminded me too that the new reboot Exorcist, that was their huge twist, was that there was 2 kids being possessed at the same time, probably from the same demon.
You could bring in a nun who's a munitions expert. I mean, there's so much you could do.
I just want to see like who the guy who like builds the weapons, or like what's his arsenal going to be like, or like how do they soup up his lambretta or whatever,
like a water gun, like a high powered holy water gun
coming out the sides.
You need some exercise salt is something, so he could get some like special exercise salter thing. Like maybe it's one of those like high powered like things you use to put fertilizer on your lawn, but it shoots out exercise salt. Holy oil, you need that. Maybe there's some chrism involved. I don't know. Like there's so many possibilities. Like.
They could make it. I mean, if they wanted to bring Keanu in, it could be like some Constantine type shit. But that's DC. That would be hard.
Have fun with movies, people. Have fun with making movies. It's supposed to be fun for everyone involved. When it's goofy, it's like just give into it. Like give into the impulse. Just go for it. I enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's not a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'll just like run through some of these.
Okay.
But Russell Crowe came up with the idea of riding a Lambretta that wasn't based on Amorth. We stand this king for that choice, because it's one of the things I think about when you think of this movie. It's just one of the enduring images of this movie. Yep. He said he was inspired by seeing priests driving through Rome on Lambrettas and wanted to include it. So
I love it.
Thank you, Russell Crowe, for that.
No notes on that.
While researching Father Gabriele Amorth, Russell Crowe discovered his favorite movie was The Exorcist. Wow, very on brand.
Yep.
So much so that he became friends with William Friedkin. I think we mentioned that on our Exorcist episode.
And he directed the movie The Devil and Father Amorth, which is basically like a long interview with Amorth, and they go on an exorcism together.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. Have you?
I've seen parts of it. From what I understand, it's not a great movie because like
I'm just glad that wasn't his last. That was his second to last movie. I'm glad. Friedkin's actual last film was the Caine Mutiny Court Martial, which is like a famous like play that they made into a movie back in the day.
The Bogart film.
Yep, and then they remade it in the same year as Pope's Exorcist, actually 2023.
Where did that come out? Was that a movie thing, or was that like an HBO special?
I think it was like a low budget. It did come on theaters, I think, select theaters. But yeah, Kiefer Sutherland's in it.
Wild.
It was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, I like the story. It's a good story about
yes,
a mutiny in a court martial.
Exactly.
The original's classic, though. I don't know why you'd try to remake that because like it's a Bogart, like iconic Bogart role. So I wouldn't.
I thought Kiefer, there was some buzz I remember for his performance in it. It didn't translate to like Oscar stuff, but I remember a lot of critics and me included thought that, he was a standout in that movie. So that was his true last film. This one I just think is funny because I don't even think that this just feels like an interviewer brought it to Russell Crowe's attention and he just went with it. But like he walks away from the Coliseum and they were like, "Is that like a nod to Gladiator?" And Russell Crowe's like, "Yeah." like I definitely did not think that when I was watching this movie. Like,
see, if I were him, I would throw them for a loop and be like, "It's actually it's an
in
homage
the Gladiator universe.
It's an homage to Fellini." What?
Just because like something from another movie is in a later movie doesn't make it a nod, guys. Like
it's a nod to Bruce Lee's Way of the Dragon. Okay.
Okay. This is what I was talking about earlier. The demonic entity Asmodeus, according to Christian belief and exorcist testimonies, he's one of Satan's 5 generals, second in command behind Baal, a demon who appeared in the film The Rite, which is like one of the screenwriters wrote that. So there you go.
See, the weird thing is like Baal is like in the Old Testament before Satan is invented is just a god of people who aren't the Israelites. Like it's a god worshipped by, I believe it's Elijah who like basically challenges their god Baal to a duel with his god, like a dual sacrifice.
Yeah, it looks familiar. Like when I looked at it and saw that.
I'm trying to remember. I'll look that up for another time just to get us correct.
And I think there was another fact too that was like the Asmodeus. There's like a Jewish version of that god. Like the name is slightly different in Hebrew or whatever.
Well, it's not surprising that Catholics would take Old Testament stories and then kind of rework and be like, oh, well, that god that was a fake god. That's actually a demon.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Like it's like you're retconning it. Right.
And then the last one here, according to an interview with Daniel Zovato, in the research, he found out that Father Amorth would keep a sense of humor when conducting exorcisms because though the devil enjoyed irony, he hated humor. The example of demons liking irony is prominent in the scene where the possessed child causes the cross to fall off the wall saying, "Did God allow that?" And the demon's disgust for humor is noticeable in the next moment where the child says, "You can't hide behind your jokes forever, Gabriel."
So what you're telling me is the devil really, really loves reading Pitchfork magazine.
Yeah, and The Onion. No, not The Onion.
The Onion's not really ironic. The Onion's comedy.
Yeah.
Pitchfork is just like a hipster music rag that was originally known for like being very sarcastic.
I also love whenever the demon, we used to call them Gabe. Like with such contempt, like and the boy was really selling those Gabes too.
Like they've known each other a while.
Like turning his head while he's saying it. Ugh. Good performance.
Very Gollum, big Gollum energy.
And that's all I got as far as behind the scenes.
Well, if that's all you got, let's take a break and we'll come back to find out what the Catholics had to say.
Cool.
And we're back. What did the Catholics have to say? Well, guys, I screwed up again. You had suggested we do this way back, I think, when we started the podcast. Didn't it come out around the time we started the podcast in general?
Around that time, 2 years ago.
And I think we were both like, well, there's no way this doesn't get an O rating. Right. And I believe I think it's on the Letterboxd list for condemned films. But I double checked the actual USCCB review. Keep in mind, there are multiple Catholic outlets that review these things, but we go by the USCCB rating, and it has L, which is limited adult audience. Now, this is almost morally offensive. This is the same problem we ran into with, I think, Danger Diabolic. We figured out, but it was the older one, which was B, but it was the same thing of like, there was some discrepancy about what actually was, and I'm surprised this is not an O.
Me too.
You've got zombie Virgin Mary. You've got outright blasphemy. You've got swearing. I mean,
like a priest going against the church's orders. Just right there. Like,
but he's obedient to the Pope, which is more important.
Exactly.
Right? Like a cardinal is not
There's a hierarchy.
They are his
there.
superiors, but technically he answers to the Pope. So maybe that's the loophole.
My boss is the Pope.
I think we wanted to do this before we knew what the rating was.
I think we were going off the letterbox list too early on, so that probably was
now
it.
We've been better at double checking with the schedule moving forward. I know I've been really detailed about trying to figure that stuff out. So I know our next film is definitely like a famous controversial film, which I will announce soon. So yeah, I mean, these reviews are still negative, which is great. Here's the National Catholic Register review. Once again, National Catholic Register, owned or related to EWTN out of Alabama, very conservative. So that's the angle we're coming from here. The narrative is a contrived mishmash in which a clueless widowed American mother of two inherits a medieval abbey in southern Spain, only to find her young son Henry possessed by the demon who calls the abbey home. There are smatterings of the Inquisition and hints of high church intrigue, and lots of Latin and sacramentals. The devil afflicting Henry has super demon powers, and Father Amorth nearly loses his soul in the struggle. At times, the film feels like a Valentine to The Exorcist, with people coughing up gross things, spewing crass language, crab walking up walls, and being hurled around like rag dolls. This movie knows what it is, a horror film first of all, like we said.
Yes.
If you like that kind of thing, then you will probably like this thing. That's a hilarious sentence. So if you are grown up, and if you are spiritually mature enough to not get swept up in the fear of the devil from the movie, and if you can watch horror film conventions without scandal and harm, then I recommend The Pope's Exorcist as a basically competent offering. That is a lot of ifs.
Yeah.
Scandal. I fucking hate scandal.
Honestly, kind of generous though.
It's a pretty generous review. I think it's really pretty accurate, honestly. And I can see why the Catholics would have that angle. It's pretty good at like doing the balancing act of like, you know, if you're Catholic, if you're this kind of Catholic, you probably shouldn't see this. If you're this kind of Catholic, you know, just know.
But
what
acknowledges it's a horror movie first.
Yep.
And that's what most people that go and see this movie anyway are going to see.
I think a lot of Catholic sources are starting to realize too that these Exorcist movies are basically Catholic propaganda.
Yeah.
Even though they're R-rated movies, like they really push people toward the faith at the end of the. I mean, even watching it again, it's like you're like, well, the devil's obviously the bad guy here.
Yep.
You know,
you need to pray to defeat him. He tells the mom she's like not really a believer anymore, but she did when she was a kid. He's like, you need to start believing again.
And that works on people who are like lukewarm Catholics who kind of like drifted away. It doesn't work on people like us who are like very aware of why we left.
Yep.
But it does work on people who kind of just like fell away from it and never had like any kind of serious conflicts to deal with. This next review is this is our official USCCB review. It's from our boy John Mulderig. He's back, baby. Woo! Mulderig.
The Pope's reviewer.
The Pope's reviewer.
Movie reviewer.
We should call him that. He's going to be so confused when he finds out that we just have started this shtick around him.
I know. We're bringing him traffic. We said that. His traffic must be going up.
Yeah, check your traffic, John. It's important to bear in mind that, however credible its source material may be, the ostensibly fact-based possession tale The Pope's Exorcist from Sony remains a Hollywood horror movie. Considered as such, the film starts off promisingly enough, but eventually becomes overheated and lurid. Any adaptation of books published by high-profile exorcist Pauline Father Gabriele Amorth, who died in 2016, aged 91, is unlikely to be fair suitable for the whole family. Moreover, and it so proves in this case, since as directed by Julius Avery, the picture includes a variety of components that even grown-ups in search of casual entertainment may wish to avoid. Details of religious practice are also portrayed inaccurately. Thus, in 2 of the 3 confessions we witness on screen, the confessor fails to use the necessary formula of absolution, substituting instead a vague prayer that the penitent may be forgiven. Any well-catechized Catholic would demand a do-over. Dude,
who cares?
Priest didn't say the magic words. Oh no, it didn't work.
In this exorcism movie.
I'm not baptized for real because the words were wrong. Catholics, man. Speaking of ecclesiastical tensions, in the midst of it all, Father Amorth makes an observation that might be taken for heresy in some circles these days. Prayers, he tells Father Esquivel, are more powerful in Latin. This is a dig at Pope Francis, by the way. Latin Catholic weirdos. The film contains mature themes, disturbing images, and attempted suicide, brief aberrant sexual interaction.
Attempted suicide? Fucking dies.
No. He attempts suicide.
Ooh.
Doesn't the one priest,
right.
not Amorth, the other priest, Esquold, he tries to commit suicide with the stole. We talked about that.
No, that was the demon hanging him.
Oh, it was the demon.
But Amorth does try and hang himself when he gets possessed. But I guess that you could call that an attempted suicide.
Maybe he fell asleep during the movie.
But I just think it's funny he mentions the attempted suicide and not the actual suicide in the movie.
Really funny, actually. We have brief aberrant sexual interaction, glimpses of upper and rear female nudity, a few mild oaths, my favorite. Some mild oaths. Gosh darn it. Numerous rough terms. What are rough terms? I guess fuck. Okay. Occasional crude language, which would also be fuck. So why are we and an obscene gesture that's given the finger, I'm assuming. The OSV classification. OSV is the new name for the USCCB news. I don't know what they're doing right now. Their brand is rough right now, man. I don't know. Maybe they should hire me to work on their marketing. I'm very confused by what they're doing with this OSV news thing. The OSV news classification is L, limited adult audience, films whose problematic content many adults would find troubling. So yeah, overall, I feel like the reaction is that it's kind of a silly horror movie, but that is what it is. I love it. It's a good time. You know, it's interesting. Like, I've been digging into Father Amorth for a little while here. I did listen to the audiobook of An Exorcist Tells His Story, and I took a ton of notes.
Yeah, what did you learn?
I learned a lot, and I'm going to try to strip it down to just the stuff that applies to Amorth in the movie, because there's a lot of tertiary stuff that's just we don't need to talk about. We talked about his early days and stuff like that. I want to get into his claims, things he said in the book that are just interesting as they pertain to exorcisms. I feel like people who aren't familiar with like actual exorcists and who didn't grow up adjacent to either in the charismatic movement or adjacent to it might not be that familiar with. The charismatic movement is a movement that very much focuses on spiritual warfare. I was baptized in the Spirit myself, supposedly given the gift of wisdom and knowledge, prophecy, and I've spoken in tongues. I have the gift of tongues, supposedly. Honestly, I could probably put myself in a trance again and it would sound like gibberish. Maybe one day when we do a live show, I'll speak in tongues for everybody and we can see how that goes. That'd be fun. Father Amorth had a lot of interesting beliefs. He maintained that both Hitler and Stalin were possessed by the devil. But that didn't excuse their actions. I would hope not. Jesus.
Yeah, wow.
He says in an exorcism, anything can come out of someone's mouth, from shards of iron to rose petals.
And that checks out with the bird, I guess, in this one.
When he was actually involved in the writing of the Rite. I guess they consulted him, which makes sense that the screenwriter of the Rite worked on this.
Yeah.
When they toured the Rite at film festivals, they were in Umbria at a film fest, and they made the mistake of giving the man a mic. And a quote from him is, he said a lot of dumb things, but one thing he said specifically was practicing yoga is satanic. It leads to the devil, just like reading Harry Potter.
That was one of his big things, yeah.
That's one of his big quotes. In Harry Potter, the devil acts in a crafty and covert manner under the guise of extraordinary powers, magic spells, and curses. He said this, it's crazy.
Just funny that, like you're making a kid's title that most people don't even think about that, and making it one of your main targets, and yoga too. Like, they're just so, I guess maybe that's like the reasoning that like people need to wake up and smell the roses or whatever. But
well, in the book, he gets pretty racist in the book. He actually attacks Hinduism at one point and says, well,
that's the yoga thing.
Yoga. Yeah. He basically says that, the gods in Hindu, that you're worshiping demons, essentially. Yeah. Which is really racist.
But the Harry Potter thing does that. That's the one that really, I'm like, okay, I guess because there's witches and stuff in it.
I think it was a popular book that represented a larger trend.
It got too popular. He's like, I need to say something about this.
Yeah. It's when I was a kid, before Harry Potter, I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously Dungeons and Dragons was a big target of exorcists when I was a kid. Magic cards. Rainbow Bright, I don't think received that so much, but there were a lot of kids shows that got targeted. Action figures, a lot of times if they were like perceived as demonic, would be kind of filed under that. This is more of a Protestant thing, but there's a great video you can find online of Protestants talking about the evil action figures produced for the He-Man TV series, and they talk about Castle, and there's like a good section where they talk about Castle Grayskull, and it's worth your time because it's bonkers. There were people thought Yoda was demonic.
I guess if it takes the heat off of horror movies, I go after it, and it's J.K. Rowling.
Oh, don't worry, they're in here, buddy. We're getting to it. He also has a huge problem with gay people. This is an actual quote from him verbatim. Who proclaims himself homosexual is someone who undoubtedly acts under the suggestion of the devil. He also has said, being gay is an evil against nature. This is more extreme than we hear from most bishops, most priests, and it's antithetical to both the catechism and what the Pope has said about this, and the actions of our last Pope. And I mean, this Pope hasn't said anything yet.
Right.
Which honestly is pretty good. I'm
probably
like,
smart.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just like for the moment, you know, it's like if you're not going to say something nice, don't say anything.
We have a lot of people saying things right now.
I know. And I mean, this is common among exorcists. I watched a few years ago, there was a conference in Michigan called the Holiness Conference with Cardinal Burke and Cardinal Rittberger. And Rittberger is a kind of the new celebrity, the United States celebrity exorcist of the moment. And he says a lot of crazy shit. But in that talk, he did talk about gay demons, and that being gay is caused by demonic possession or influence. That was his like belief. And he's a lot of people listen to him. My mom went to that conference. And I thought about sending her a text about it, on my thoughts on it. And I said, you know what? Let's maintain the peace, Bill. Let's not cause trouble. So yeah, exorcists, they don't like gay people. He has blamed gay rights and IVF on the proliferation of evil in the world. He is a big believer in like conspiracies about cover-ups in the Vatican. Exorcisms, like I said, he's all over the place with how many he claims he's done. Interestingly, right now in Italy, there are about 120 Italian exorcists. And the US, there were only 12 exorcists in 2005. Today, there are 100 to 150 exorcists in the US as well.
Yeah.
Well, and it unfortunately gets into this thing of like, you know, Carl Sagan predicted this, that a country that doesn't prioritize education and critical thinking is going to slip into superstition and darkness.
Yep.
And this is not a sign of us going toward holiness. I mean, maybe it is, but not, you know, in their minds. But to me, this says we are becoming a more superstitious, ignorant, and stupid country.
And the propaganda of these movies is working.
It is.
Probably,
and that's why,
like,
man, I love a good Exorcist movie, but also I'm starting more and more to just be like, maybe we don't need these. Like, maybe this is a bad genre. Because
or maybe like do a twist on it where it's like, you can't solve everything with prayer. You know what I mean? Right. Like there's like.
Obviously, The Exorcism of Emily Rose is partially based on Annalise Michel. Mm-hmm. But I think it might be time to do a movie about Annalise Michel. Mm. If you could, I don't know if like it's too soon. It might, getting rights to that story might actually be really hard. The family probably wouldn't want it, or do something that addresses exorcism in that way, where it's like, this can actually be really dangerous.
Right.
Now, as we've said before, the Catholic Church has more checks and balances than pretty much any other religious denomination within Christianity, within other religions. They set guidelines in the 1600s. They've only gotten stricter over time. So the actual reported cases of abuse within exorcism, like I said before, only occur among lay people or people who aren't priests usually, or a priest who is performing things outside of the guidelines. I've mentioned before the Father Moyer case at Steubenville, where he was doing deliverance work, which was far outside the boundaries of exorcism, and that did result in abuse. And again, that's somebody who was not following the procedures, not following the protocols, not involving medical professionals. True exorcists work with medical professionals. Regardless of what we think of the efficacy of this, or is it ethical, it is interesting. At least there is this acknowledgement that medicine and professionals need to be involved.
Which is in this movie, which is in The Exorcist. Right.
Now here's things from his actual book. Claims he's made. He claims that people who lose faith almost always fall into superstition. Now, we know this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I do think, now, ironically, I don't think it's falling away from faith, but I do think that Christian indoctrination from a young age often does lead people into New Age practices, use of crystals. I think a lot of that, though, is just like, we're primed for suggestion, and if you don't properly exit the church by developing a critical mind and a skeptical education, you're going to end up in superstition. I understand what he's saying from that perspective, but losing faith doesn't mean you will fall into superstition. No. If you're working on educating yourself.
I think we're both pretty good examples of that.
Yeah, I went the opposite way.
I don't want anything to do with any religion.
I became more rational.
Right, exactly.
He claims that the number of those infected by the evil one has greatly increased. This is really funny. He says the first factor that is responsible is Western consumerism. Okay, I'm with you there. Then he says the majority of people have lost their faith due to a materialistic and hedonistic lifestyle. All right. He believes most of the blame falls on communism, socialism, and Marxism. Specifically in Italy.
Oh, right.
Dude, you were so close.
Yeah,
you were so close, and you did a 180.
You had the map, but you held it upside down.
No, communism, socialism, Marxism are kind of the antithesis of materialism.
Right,
consumerism,
exactly.
Dude, but all right. He blames as well a rise in spiritism, witchcraft, and the occult. He also includes in this yoga, Zen, and meditation. He also basically mentions all these practices as being demonic, even the ones from Eastern religions, because he's a racist. He blames satanic rock for music possession among the youths. I believe that's probably him in the 80s saying that.
That's an old one.
Yep. He also says part of why Satanism is everywhere. Is it really everywhere? I know some Satanists, and it's not everywhere. They're a very small population
very fringe
of people.
group. Yeah.
But he claims Satanism is everywhere due to the decrease in the amount of exorcism prayers in the baptismal rite post-Vatican II, and also the removal of the St. Michael's prayer from the Mass post-Vatican II. Did you say the St. Michael's prayer at the end of church when you were going to church as a kid?
I don't remember.
We didn't.
I don't think so.
And then when I was in high school, we started going to a more traditionalist Slovak parish where they said it, and I was like, "What is this?" So I needed like a pamphlet because I memorized the rest of the Mass from being in it so long, and I was like, "I don't know what this prayer is. What is this?" And then when I went back to my old like regular church a few years ago, I was like, "Oh, they're saying the St. Michael prayer now at the end of Mass," and this is like a spiritual warfare prayer. It's supposed to like help defeat demons and Satan. It's just more.
No, we didn't say this.
Magic spells to stop demons.
Saint Michael also name dropped in this movie.
He was. Yeah, you gotta get the heavy hitters in there. He says, "Oh, this is good. The majority of exorcism cases are due to sorcery, either committed by the person or by spells cast onto them by others." Yeah, because that's happening all the time.
I know. What
are you talking about? All I can figure is, does Italy have a lot of like wizards running around? Like, is that happening?
It's also like blaming people for shit they have no control over.
He also says a big cause is association with evil people and places. So how does like the Catholic Church and mega Catholics fall into this? Because the Catholic Church in America, about 50% of those people and priests support MAGA. Abuser priests are obviously, there's a plentiful amount of them. So do they cause possession or cause you to need an exorcism?
Sorcery.
Yeah, I don't know. An exorcist can tell more easily when someone is possessed than a psychologist can. Probably because a psychologist wouldn't believe in possession.
I think that's in the DSM-4.
I don't think that's 5. I think that's actually really unethical to say someone's possessed.
Gonna have to reread that.
He listed symptoms of possession in teens especially, and he said lack of focus in school, distractions in school, sudden inability to learn, irritation with parents. And I was like, that sounds like most teens, or like a teen with ADHD.
Or ADHD.
Yeah, exactly. See also noticing girls. Or boys.
Am I possessed?
I was definitely possessed in 8th grade, man.
You're just describing most kids. Like,
your child is listening to metal.
Yeah.
And he's irritable.
He's not doing his homework, and he's into girls.
He must be possessed by a devil.
Most people.
The most extreme cases where we see people speaking in a foreign tongue, displaying like superhuman adrenaline rush strength, levitation, etc., those only occurred during the blessings, not before the exorcism. So the only way you would see levitation is during the actual exorcism blessings. This, of course, is convenient because the priest is the only person in the room during the exorcism.
Yeah, and we have no footage, like you mentioned already.
Right.
Where's the footage of this?
A priest can say whatever the fuck they want and then tell you to believe it because they're a priest. And that's why I don't believe in exorcism. There's no evidence for it. Parents sometimes do report violent behavior and aversion to the sacred, but again, that just sounds like a teen rebelling against their parents.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of these exorcisms do seem to be teens or like children who are closer to teenage age, like maybe prepubescent. And that's really unfortunate because I was reading about this. Now, as much as the church has safeguards, all that's required for a teen to get exorcised is for a parent to sign off on it, saying we consent. The teen never has to consent. The child never has to be willing to consent. So theoretically, this is abusive because in those cases, the child would be exposed to an exorcist. Now, I do know he said they try their best not to do anything that would traumatize a teen or child. So usually they approach it using exorcism prayers. They don't try to make a big deal out of it. But it does seem like this could become real problematic real quick. And I do think the fact that, like, in most of these cases, it's probably just a moody teen with hormones. And then you're bringing a priest in their bedroom, violating their space.
Any behavior they're trying to correct, like being gay or something. It must be a demon. Let's call an exorcist to fix this. Almost like a conversion thing. Like I can see it easily falling into that.
Right. Some Catholic who just is very superstitious.
I don't understand what they're into.
Right.
Let me call an exorcist to fix this.
My son's listening to that
Chapel Roan.
I believe she's demonic. She has red hair like the devil. Many patients avoid religious spaces. They blaspheme often and react violently to sacred images. Well, I mean, that's just most teens. I mean, so much of this is just attributed to like being a teenager and hormonal. Like, The Exorcist always calls the exorcism a blessing, as they will often use other blessings first to ensure not alarming the person or the demon. This helps to rule out false cases. So good on them for trying to not like just jump right into the exorcism. Low fucking bar. Most demons enter through the eyes. I personally thought it was the butthole, but I guess I was wrong. Diabolical oppression, where demons attack and cause physical and mental illness. So supposedly diabolical oppression is it surfaces as more like depression or obsession. He claims that a barrage of evil dreams and dark thoughts can be cured through the sacraments, prayer, mass attendance, charity, and living a Christian life. Okay, if I'm going to be honest about this, the only reason I ever had dreams about Satan or demons or being crucified was because I had a very strict religious upbringing, and I would not have had those dreams had I not been exposed to exorcists and their
planting
bullshit
it in your mind. Yeah.
No, like literally being prayed over in tongues, that my guardian angel would watch over me if I died in my sleep, wearing a scapular as a kid. That shit fucked me up.
Yeah.
And the stuff he's talking about, that stuff, honestly, even as an adult, it doesn't help me because it's just being attached to that environment that caused that trauma in the first place. Supposedly, Father Candino Amatino, this is the guy who he worked under, made cancerous tumors disappear through his exorcisms. Something that is supposedly well documented, which I looked into it, and the priest documented it himself, which, fuck you. God forbid we give doctors credit or admit to the randomness of the cruelty of nature and disease, He blames Satan and possession for wealthy families losing their fortunes, successful businessmen losing their jobs, or having businesses abandoned by customers. So he's kind of got an inverse prosperity gospel going on, where he thinks that people who fall on misfortune, it's almost always due to demonic influence, which is frankly insane. Now, I did want to include there's a lot more we could get into with exorcism. This is a long episode. I do want to real quick, just for funsies, read off a list of things that cause demonic possession according to Gabriele Amorth and some of his contemporaries. You ready for this one?
Do it.
Okay, so off the top of your head, just list some stuff. Let's get the big ones out of the way. What do you think?
What is it again? What causes?
Things that can lead to or be potential influences for demonic possession.
I mean, we mentioned some of them already, like
right. We
rock
mentioned
music, yoga.
Yep. I'll just say them.
Disobedience. I don't know.
So obviously, occult practices. We kind of went over that. Curses, which I guess is a big thing in Italy. Again, I get the impression Italy just has people running around like grandmothers running around cursing people. That's from what he talks about it. It sounds like there's like the lady from the opening of Dracula just running around cursing like children in the streets of Italy. That's all I can guess is going on right here.
Curse you.
Spiritism, Freemasonry.
Okay.
So yeah, also don't join the Elks. That causes demons. No, I'm joking. Freemasonry is the only fraternal club he has listed. Old school Catholics don't like the Freemasons or Masons. It's very funny to me. Nightclubs, due to drugs, promiscuity, and satanic influences. Okay, you weren't here for stigmata, but this actually clears up a question we had about stigmata.
Okay.
So evidently nightclubs are considered to be a way that could be like an influence to evil. And that explains that scene in Stigmata. So if you listened to the Stigmata episode, I guess that's the answer. Maybe
the strip club scene in Dogma.
Yeah, I'm sure, These ones are from Father Chad Rittberger, who's kind of like the modern U.S. celebrity exorcist grifter. He says moral sin, especially by the heads of households. So I guess like if your dad beats you, you could become possessed.
Okay.
That's weird. Spiritually dangerous environments or media. So public schools, obviously. Abandoning traditional Catholic devotions. That's the St. Michael prayer again, probably. The rosary, things like that. Certain video games invoking real-world pagan demonic deities. Okay, so Skyrim is causing me to I'm going to become demonically possessed by Skyrim. Got it. Tattoos, even religious ones. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Exposure to trauma or sexual assault. That's a lot to throw on a victim, dude.
Wow.
That's actually kind of shitty. Rare prenatal womb exposure to demonic influence. Whoa. So like Rosemary's Baby action. Is that documented? Can we find out more? I should find out more about that. Vatican theologian and former exorcist Father Corrado Balducci wrote about the potential for subliminal messages in rock and metal music to convey diabolical images or influence.
Yeah.
Turn me on, dead man. And here's just a miscellaneous list from all these clowns. Ouija boards. The Holy Spirit board game is considered a trap from the devil. I think that was a gag. I don't think that was a real product, guys, but okay. It was a meme going around for a while. Christian meditation. Evidently, the Vatican said Christian meditation can lead you to the devil, which makes no sense. Yoga, of course. Horror films. There we go.
Fuck.
Fantasy video games. Well, that just eliminates my entire recreational time, guys. Any Eastern spiritual practices, tarot cards, magic and spells, astrology, consulting mediums, sorcery, magic cards, and Dungeons and Dragons. New Age music. Yanni obviously is a seductive little Greek devil. The New Age in general. And here you go. Reiki healing. I know people who do Reiki healing. I should tell them that. Be like, look out for demons. Keep some holy water, salt, and oil. He also says you should have holy water. Sorry, not just holy water. Exorcised water, exorcised salts, and exorcised oil around your house. Now, I have found out any priest can exorcise salt, water, and oil for you. I kind of want to go to a priest and ask him to exorcise a bunch of stuff for me because that sounds fun. You want to have an outing? You want to go get some stuff exercised?
What's the difference between that and like just blessing water?
It's probably a different blessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any priest can exorcise salt, water, or oil for you. And then you've got the holy trinity of exorcist weapons at your house. You can fight demons. You can throw them at your friends to see if they catch fire. Because
maybe
they
in
have
Pope's
demons in them.
Exorcist 2, we can have a scene
we have to.
where someone comes to Russell Crowe asking for a exorcist water.
I really want a scene where he like kits up and he like puts together his kit and it's like
the
holy salts.
I want
water.
like a holy water like grenade that like comes out.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
Like go like I want
because did you notice like
make some action figures.
You notice at the end when he puts whatever what did he have that was that the circular medallion thing? He puts it on the demon's face or whatever, and it makes a sound like a futuristic like Halo grenade or it's like
was that the miraculous metal?
I don't remember what he used.
There's a few things. Well, he has the Benedictine.
Or the ring. He had a ring, right, at one point. I was very, like I said, the CGI darkness of it really clouded it. But
well, and you've got the Benedictine cross, which has the seal on the back, which is like a protection from spiritual warfare, supposedly.
I know the other priest used the medallion he gave him. Yeah. That was what he used. I wasn't sure what Russell Crowe used, but I was like, I noticed that like the sound it made, it sounded like a futuristic weapon going off when he put it to the face.
Oh, it's so good, man. So question for you. After everything I've told you, do you believe that Father Amorth is telling the truth and that exorcism and demons are real? And are you going to go to mass tomorrow?
No.
Okay. Just checking. I thought maybe I'd made a good case.
But
I want to know more about gay demons though. I feel like they'd be fun to hang out with, you know?
You can watch it. You can watch one on South Park right now.
That's true.
Satan and Trump in bed with Trump.
Exactly. Oh man, South Park is on fire right now.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. All right, what did we think of this movie? I think it's pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah,
we both liked it. It's fun. It's unpretentious. The one pretentious thing is that it's based on a true story, which is just marketing bullshit. If you can get past that, it's really a good time. It's just B-movie horror fun. It's a popcorn movie. I would love to go see this in a movie theater. I'm excited for the sequel. I hope they make it. I hope I hope they lean into the national treasure of all of it. And, maybe they can get Nicolas Cage in there as like a wild card priest, let's have some fun with it, man. Throw a little more money at the director. Like, let's up the budget a little bit.
Yeah, there's been no casting announcements or any like updated.
Like, I want
things
action figures. I want like a Russell Crowe action figure with a grenade launcher like a holy hand grenade launcher and like a super soaker full of holy water. Like, let's really just let's make it fun. Make exorcism movies fun again.
Yeah.
But yeah, this gets my imprimatur for sure. For you?
Same with me. I just put like it's a dynamically shot movie for this type of genre exercise.
Actually,
no pun intended.
No, it looks really beautiful.
I think it's it looks good up until that ending, like I said, but that's only 15 minutes. I also think maybe like 10 minutes could have been cut out of this movie. A lot of the family stuff, I think, really just doesn't work.
But I think ignoring the CGI, cinematography, art direction, set design, all on point.
Yes. Crowe and the young actor playing Henry give fully committed performances. Crowe brings that much needed levity and humor that we've been missing from these movies. Henry delivering lines like, "I wasn't breastfed, mommy."
Good Lord.
Like I said, the end turns into a CGI slot fest like most superhero movies nowadays, but they still managed to camp it up there too with a zombie Virgin Mary and a hot ghost bloody woman. Enjoy it with some drinks or other substances for an R-rated and refreshing take on the extremely worn-out exorcism genre.
Honestly, this is a great use for some communion charcuterie.
That would have been
some communion
cool.
wine. Yeah, maybe next time.
I also put in my original review, which I think I'm when I relog it, I'm gonna give it a higher rating. But I just put like the ending was giving, like suicide. Like, what are we, some kind of exorcism squad? You know, like a Suicide Squad bringing the team together.
Wait, maybe that's the solution. Have like James Gunn jump on the sequel. I'm into it, man. I want a Catholic Justice League so badly. I would. Oh. Man.
I also put in my original review,
good.
I'm loving this late stage of Crowe's career where he just shows up with a dad bod, fully committed to a European accent.
Dude, his divorced dad energy, I'm here for it, man. He just does not give a damn anymore.
I also was just telling a friend, he carries this movie on his hunched shoulders and that scooter.
Real quick side note about Russell Crowe, but do you remember a few years ago when he was getting divorced and he sold a bunch of like memorabilia from Gladiator?
Yes.
So guess where you can go see a lot of it? If you're
Isn't it at the museum or something?
Some of it is.
Yeah.
But if you go to Bend, Oregon,
really,
the last Blockbuster in the world is there, and they have a bunch of it. I happened to be in Oregon. I had no idea, and somebody was like, "You have to go to the last Blockbuster." And I went there, and part of it is a museum of like random memorabilia, and they have a bunch of the Russell Crowe divorce like sale items there from Gladiator. It's so good. So,
but yeah, like obviously imprimatur for me. They can make a million of these. There's 199 more sites to go. Camp it up. Bring in that Fast and Furious energy, National Treasure energy. Bring in some B-movie all-stars like Nicolas Cage or other people we've been mentioning. And I can't...
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, just...
Put all the guys in there and the ladies.
And start veering away from exorcism stuff, true story stuff, and start going into... Just use your imagination.
Hell, bring in Isabella Rossellini's character from Conclave. She can be in the movie. Crossover. Let's do it. Get the Tucci. Get Tucci in there.
Oh, yeah.
Conclave, Pope's Exorcist, team up. They go
after... a war. You just see him saying that?
In the trailer. I love this. This movie needs to happen. Oh, my God. Dominic Toretto. So Fast and the Furious, Conclave, Pope's Exorcist, crossover movie.
Constantine. Keanu Reeves shows up.
It's a quadrilogy. It's a quadrant now. We got all four coming together. This is going to cost a lot of money, guys.
Keanu like sees Franco Nero from John Wick 2 and he's like, "You look familiar."
Just stupid inside jokes that are only for people like 5 of us get it. Good Lord. Anyway, well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Morally Offensive. Guys, we've sold some merch, but we haven't really sold enough Hot Priest summer t-shirts. I want to see them at the beach. I know some people have been thinking about picking them up. Really, it helps us pay for our hosting. It helps us keep the podcast going. It helps me slide food under the door and some beef sticks for our editor. There's gonna be t-shirt potential for this episode. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of t-shirts from this episode.
Russell Crowe on the scooter with like his gladiator regalia, but with dad bod.
Yes, just the gut hanging out. Which is no offense. I have a dad bod. I'm proud of it, man. Let's rock the dad bod. Maybe we need some dad bod merch. But seriously.
Padre bod.
If you check out morallyoffensive.com, we have all kinds of merch right now. I keep adding stuff when I get a chance to design things. I'm a designer professionally, so like I spend most of my day doing that. It's hard to crank out new stuff, but I add it when I can. The Hot Priest summer stuff, there's lots of it up. There's tank tops, there's t-shirts, there's swimwear. We got tote bags, we've got hats. I did a denim jacket with our logo that actually I really want to get. There's just fun stuff on there. A lot of it's just me having fun making merch, honestly. And it goes directly to us. It helps us pay our hosting fees and to keep this ship afloat, which is basically a little rowboat with a bunch of holes in it that I keep plugging. So, we just keep chugging along. We are the little train that could, making a podcast for 5 of you who enjoy it and ourselves.
And our Pope-mobile.
And our Pope-mobile. We got to fund the Pope-mobile. Got to keep gassing that thing. And that about wraps it up for this episode of Morally Offensive. If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. This helps us so much with gaining traction, gaining awareness. If you have the time and love the podcast, please leave like a thoughtful review, because that is like one of the biggest ways to get people to notice this, to get us more attention in the ex-Catholic community and the film community. It really helps us raise up in the ranks. And we've been noticing the work y'all have been doing, because we're actually climbing the charts right now, and it's pretty cool to watch. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for liking the show. And feel free to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok right now, and I'm usually on the one on Threads. But just come on there, talk to us about stuff. We try to balance it between the film, the cinema stuff, and the Catholic stuff. Sometimes we thread the needle both ways. It's really about having fun, having a good time, but also talking about some of these very meaningful topics in a way that is tongue-in-cheek, just because I don't feel qualified enough to talk about this. I'm not a theologian. I'm not an expert apologist. I have a degree that like covers some of it, but I'm no expert. So for me, it's like I just like making jokes about it because it makes me laugh. And
the devil hates jokes.
But it's interesting. It's interesting to talk about. And like, anything we say, go and fact check it. Let us know if you find like holes in our reasoning. Honestly, I'm obsessed with fact checking myself. Just be freaking nice about it. Don't be a dick. That's all I ask. Please join us again in 2 weeks when I am very excited to bring back our friend Jess Sullenblanc from our Babyface episode, and a new friend from Shea Cinema. We are going to be going back in time to the pre-code era once again. It's been too long. It's an era I am obsessed with. And believe me, you're going to want to hear this one, because it's the three of us are obsessed with this woman. We are talking about one of the women most hated by the Legion of Decency and the Catholic Church in the 1930s. I am talking about the queen of 1930s pre-code comedy, the woman who got arrested for putting on a play on Broadway called Sex. I am talking about Mae West.
No relation to Kanye.
No, thank God. We will see you in 2 weeks. And as always, go and sin no more.
The random cuckoos.
It's so fucking weird. That has to be a real thing he did in real life. I love that.
Cuckoo.
I love Russell Crowe's performance of this. It's so campy.
It reminds me of Al Pacino in Scarface. Fly, pelican, fly.
Here we go.